Jesus. The kid is stealing food. Nathaniel Carter didn't even realize he had whispered it out loud until his own hand came up instinctively, covering his mouth as if the walls themselves might hear him. No, not stealing, he whispered, eyes narrowing as he watched the small figure by the counter. It looks like she's hiding food. Behind him, a floorboard gave a soft creak. What are you doing down here? His wife's voice came quietly from the hallway. Nathaniel flinched slightly and turned. Margaret stood a few steps behind him in a light robe, her hair loosely tied, her face still heavy with sleep. He immediately raised a finger to his lips and motioned for her to come closer. Shh, he breathed. Margaret walked over and stood beside him, and he leaned slightly toward her, whispering, "It's Annie, Claire's girl. She's in the kitchen. She's putting food in her coat." Margaret frowned and carefully leaned just enough to see into the kitchen. Inside the dim light, Annie stood on her toes, reaching for a plate covered in plastic wrap. The little girl paused and slowly looked around the room. Left, right, toward the hallway, toward the back door. When she was sure no one was there, she peeled back the plastic and took a dinner roll. Then a few slices of roast chicken. Then some green beans. Picking them up quietly with her fingers, she opened her coat and pushed the food deep into her pocket. Then she whispered to herself, so softly it almost disappeared in the hum of the refrigerator. "No one will see. It's okay. No one will see." Margaret's hand slowly rose to her mouth. "Oh, Nate," she whispered. "She's taking the leftovers." They watched as Annie reached for another small container. The lid slipped from her fingers and fell onto the marble with a sharp plastic crack. Annie gasped and dropped to her knees, quickly grabbing everything and stuffing it into her pocket. She looked around quickly, eyes wide, breathing fast. When no one came, she whispered to herself again, almost like she was calming her own heart. "It's okay. I'll be fast. They won't see. They never see." Margaret swallowed hard and leaned closer to Nathaniel. "Maybe we should walk in," she whispered. "Tell her it's okay. Tell her she doesn't have to hide. We can just tell her she can have food whenever she wants." Nathaniel didn't take his eyes off Annie. His voice was very quiet, but firm. "No," he said softly. "Wait." Margaret looked at him. "Why?" Nathaniel watched as Annie carefully wrapped a slice of apple pie in a napkin and tucked it into her other pocket, pressing the fabric flat so it wouldn't show. "I want to see what she does with it," he said quietly. "Kids don't sneak food like that unless there's a reason. I don't think she's taking it just to eat." Margaret looked back into the kitchen, her face full of worry now instead of confusion. Annie zipped her coat, looked around one more time, then reached up and quickly switched off the small stove light. The kitchen dropped into darkness, lit only by pale moonlight through the windows. For a moment, Annie didn't move at all. She stood there listening, like a tiny animal making sure the world was safe. Then she began to move. She walked slowly, carefully, avoiding the spots on the floor that creaked. When she reached the back door, she opened it just enough to slip through, then gently pulled it closed behind her with both hands so it wouldn't make a sound. Nathaniel exhaled slowly. "She knows exactly which boards make noise," he murmured. Margaret shook her head slightly. "That means this isn't the first time." The big hallway clock ticked in the silence. Tick, tick, tick. Margaret looked at him again. "Nate, we have more food in this house than we could ever eat. If she's hungry, we can just—" "She didn't eat any of it," Nathaniel said quietly. "Did you see? Not one bite." Margaret frowned. She hadn't noticed that. Nathaniel was still looking at the back door, thinking about the way Annie had whispered, "No one will see." "I don't think that food is for her," he said. Margaret felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. "Then who is it for?" Nathaniel didn't answer right away. He walked slowly into the kitchen, looked at the counter, the half-empty plate, the space where the pie had been, leftovers from a dinner that had cost more than some people's monthly rent. Behind him, Margaret spoke softly. "What are you thinking?" Nathaniel walked to the back door and rested his hand on the handle. "I'm thinking," he said quietly, "that a kid doesn't sneak around at 2 in the morning unless something is very wrong or very important." He opened the door slowly. Cold night air rushed into the warm kitchen. Margaret stepped closer. "Nate, what are you doing?" Nathaniel looked out into the dark yard. In the distance, he could see a small figure moving across the lawn, her coat slightly puffed at the pockets. He turned his head slightly toward Margaret and said in a low voice, "I'm going to follow her." Margaret hesitated only a second, then said quietly, "You're not going alone." Nathaniel gave a small nod. "Stay a few steps behind me," he said. "Let's see where she goes and who that food is really for." And together, without turning on a single light, they stepped out into the cold night and followed the small figure moving across the dark lawn, carrying leftovers like they were something far more valuable than food. Nathaniel kept his hand slightly behind Margaret as they stepped off the stone terrace and onto the cold grass, a silent signal for her to stay back and walk carefully. Ahead of them, Annie walked quickly but not randomly. She wasn't wandering. She was heading with quiet purpose toward the far end of the property. Past the trimmed hedges, past the old oak tree, toward the small fenced area Nathaniel rarely thought about.
Why is she
the
stopping
old family
here?
cemetery.
This is the family
Nathaniel slowed
graveyard,
his
isn't
steps.
it?
Margaret leaned closer and whispered, "Where is she going?"
I think she
Nathaniel
belongs to
didn't
the
answer
family
right
we
away.
displaced.
His eyes were fixed on the small figure moving through the
can't let
pale
her go
blue
alone.
moonlight. "I think I know," he said quietly. They stopped behind a row of hedges as Annie reached the low iron gate at the edge of the small burial ground. She pushed it open carefully so it wouldn't squeal, then slipped inside and closed it behind her. Margaret's fingers tightened around Nathaniel's
Is that
sleeve.
her? What is
"Oh
she
my
doing
God,"
here?
she
My
whispered.
God, look!
"Nate, why would
Please,
she
we have
come
to
out
do
here?"
something.
Stop.
Nathaniel felt something
We
heavy
must watch.
settle in his chest, though he didn't yet have a name for it. "Let's just watch," he said softly. They moved closer, quietly, until they could see through the iron bars and the thin branches of the trees. The small cemetery held only a handful of graves, most of them from the Carter family going back 2 generations. Nathaniel's parents were buried here. His grandfather, an aunt he barely remembered. And near the far corner, under a large oak tree, Annie stopped. She stood in front of a gravestone that was smaller and newer than the others. For a moment, she didn't move. She just stood there, her head slightly bowed, her coat pockets bulging. Then she slowly knelt down on the cold ground. Margaret covered her mouth with her hand. Annie reached into her coat pocket and began taking the food out one piece at a time. The dinner roll,
Happy birthday,
the slices
Daddy.
of chicken, the green
I
beans
hope
wrapped
you
in a
like
napkin.
the cake.
Finally, the
miss
slice of
you.
pie, a little crushed now but
I
still
made
carefully
sure to bring
protected
the
in the
good
folded paper.
pieces today.
She placed everything on the flat
See?
stone in
There's
front of the
chicken and
grave,
pie.
arranging it neatly, like a tiny dinner
They brought
table.
your favorite
Nathaniel
today.
felt Margaret's hand
I told
grip
them
his
not
arm
to
harder.
worry.
Then
I'm
Annie
taking
spoke.
care of everything
"Happy
here,
birthday, Daddy,"
just like you
she
asked
whispered.
me to.
"I brought you
I'm
the good
sorry the
pieces
meal
today."
is cold.
She
It still
continued
tastes
softly.
good though.
There was
And
chicken.
I wrapped the pie so it
and
would
pie.
not get dirty.
"I know you liked pie."
I didn't
Margaret
eat the
made
pie.
a broken sound beside
I brought it for
Nathaniel
my father
and quickly
first.
pressed her hand tighter
It's
over
the
her
family
mouth to
rule for
stop herself from
birthdays.
crying out loud. Annie kept talking,
Birthday people
her voice
get
the
first.
quiet, steady voice of a child who had practiced being brave alone. "I'm sorry it's cold,"
I'm sorry
she
the meal
said,
is cold.
"but it still tastes
still
good."
tastes good,
and I
though.
wrapped the pie so it wouldn't get
And
dirty.
the pie was
She
wrapped
paused,
carefully to
then
keep
added
it
in
clean.
a whisper,
I didn't
didn't eat
the
it.
pie.
I
brought
it for you first. Like Mama
It's
says,
the family rule for
birthday
birthdays.
people get first. Nathaniel felt something twist hard inside his chest. He watched Annie reach out and brush a few leaves away from the base of the gravestone. She wiped the stone with her sleeve, like she wanted it to look nice. "I think Mama forgot it was your
Mama
birthday,"
may have
Annie
forgotten
said
my
quietly.
birthday.
"She's really tired."
Her mother is very tired
works a
and
lot
works
now.
all the time.
But I
she
remembered.
remembered the birthday
I
and
wrote
wrote
it on
it down
my
at
paper
school
at school
so she
so
would
I
not
wouldn't forget. Margaret was crying silently now, tears running down her face, but she didn't make a sound. Annie folded her hands and sat there on her knees.
There
"You
is
don't have
no
to worry,"
need to worry
she said
because she
softly.
is helping
"I'm
her
helping
mother."
Mama. I'm really quiet
I stay
when I go
very
to the big
quiet
house.
whenever I go into
I
the
don't
big
touch
house.
anything. Just the
It's
leftovers.
okay, these
The
don't
leftovers
count. They were
don't
just
count,
going to
Daddy.
be thrown away.
They were going to throw them away. Nathaniel closed his eyes for a brief second.
A
The
feast for the
leftovers
dead.
don't count. When
While
he
your
opened his
daughter
eyes again,
starves for a
Annie
memory
was
of
looking
you.
down at the food, then back at the name on the gravestone. "I wish you
I
were here,"
wish you were
she
here.
whispered. Mama cries in the bathroom when
alone
she
in
thinks
the
I'm asleep.
bathroom when she
But I
thinks
hear
no
her.
one can hear.
I don't tell her I hear.
I
So
hear
she
you
doesn't feel
crying,
bad.
Mommy.
Margaret turned her face
But I'm
into
pretending
Nathaniel's
not to
shoulder,
notice so you
crying
won't feel
quietly now.
bad.
"I'm being good," Annie continued. "I'm helping.
She is being good
So
and
you don't have to
helping,
worry
so
about
there
us,
will be less
okay?
to worry about.
And I'll bring you food on your birthday every year.
You
I
don't
promise."
have to worry about
Nathaniel's
us,
eyes
Daddy.
moved slowly to the name
I
carved
promise
into
I'll
the
bring you
stone.
food
The
every
moonlight
birthday.
fell across the letters just enough for him to read them. Daniel Bennett. Nathaniel stopped breathing. For a moment, The world seemed to tilt slightly, like the ground under his feet was no longer solid. He stared at the name again, as if it might change into someone else's if he looked long enough. Daniel Bennett, his best friend when they were young. The man who had stood next to him at his first terrible apartment.
Darling, what's wrong?
Helped him carry in a second-hand
Who is she?
The man who had worked construction while Nathaniel studied finance at night. The man who used to say, when you get rich,
one day we'll pay someone else to do this.
Nathaniel had laughed back then.
We're not
and
staying
told
in this
him,
apartment
when
forever,
I get
man.
rich,
Once you
you'll
graduate,
be rich too.
we're set.
He had meant it.
I know.
And now Daniel Bennett was a name on a stone in Nathaniel Carter's backyard. And Daniel's daughter was kneeling in the cold, feeding him leftovers in the middle of the night so he wouldn't have a lonely birthday. Nathaniel felt Margaret slowly pull away from him. She looked up at his face, and whatever she saw there made her expression change from grief to shock. Nate, she whispered. You know him, don't you? Nathaniel didn't answer right away.
Is she your daughter?
He couldn't take his eyes off the gravestone.
I'm the one
Finally,
responsible.
very quietly, he said, Yeah. Margaret's
Who
voice
was the
trembled.
dead man?
Who is he? Nathaniel swallowed once.
He was my
his throat
best
tight.
friend, Alara.
He was my best friend.
I broke my
he said.
promise to him.
A long time ago.
I should have been here
If
sooner.
this story touched your heart, please take a
We
moment
have
to
to
like
be
this video
strong
and
for
share your
her.
thoughts in the comments. Tell us where
I'm
you are watching
trying,
from because your
but
voice
it
matters
hurts
and your
so
story
much.
matters too. And if you
Go to
believe kindness
sleep,
still exists in
my
this world,
angel
please subscribe to the
bright.
channel and
I'll
join our
watch
community
you
for more
through the
meaningful stories.
lonely
Out by the grave,
Today
Annie
at
was
school
still
we learned
talking
about the
softly,
planets.
telling her
And I
father
got
about
all but
school,
one right
about
on my
a spelling
spelling
test,
test.
about
I
how her
told
mom
Jimmy
was
to
trying to
stop
fix the
pulling
washing
Sarah's hair.
machine because
The
it made a loud
washing
noise
machine
now,
is very
about how she was
noisy.
trying to be not expensive.
I am
Nathaniel
trying to
heard that
be
phrase
not
clearly.
expensive.
He looked at the small pile of food on the gravestone, at the little girl kneeling in the cold, and something inside him shifted into place with a quiet, irreversible weight. After a long moment, he opened the small iron gate and stepped inside the cemetery. Margaret stayed just outside, her hands pressed together, watching. Nathaniel walked slowly across the grass until he was standing a few feet behind Annie. Up close, he could see her shoulders shaking slightly in the cold,
promise I will
but she
bring
didn't move away
something
from the
better
grave.
next year instead
She
of
was
a
still
crushed
talking in that
slice hidden
soft,
in my
brave
coat.
voice. I'm going to bring you something better next year, she was saying. Maybe a whole pie. Not just a slice.
I'll bring a whole
Nathaniel
pie
reached
next
out
year.
and very gently placed his hand on her small shoulder. Annie jumped and turned around quickly,
I'm
her
sorry,
eyes
little
wide
one.
with fear.
I didn't
I'm
mean
sorry.
to frighten you.
She said immediately.
I'm sorry.
voice
I'm
panicked.
so sorry. I was just
I'm
taking
sorry.
the leftovers. I wasn't
I
stealing.
was just taking the
promise.
leftovers.
Please don't tell my mom
wasn't
she
stealing.
needs this job.
I was just...
It's all right, little one.
Nathaniel knelt down
There's
in
nothing
front
to
of
be
her so
scared
that
of
his
out
face
here.
was level with hers. His
We're just
voice,
having dinner with
when
Grandma.
he spoke, was softer than Annie had ever heard it. Annie, he said quietly, your father was my best friend. Annie froze when Nathaniel knelt in front of her. Her eyes were wide, not just with fear of being caught, but with the deeper fear of a child who believes one mistake can cost everything. For a second, she didn't breathe. She didn't even seem to blink. I'm sorry, she said again
I'm
quickly,
really
her
sorry.
voice shaking.
I swear I
didn't
didn't
take the good
any
food,
of the good
just
food.
the ones people
Just
didn't
the things
want.
nobody
I was
else
going to clean
wanted.
it up after.
I'm so
I didn't
sorry.
make a mess.
I promise I cleaned everything.
I'm sorry.
I
Please
didn't
don't
make
tell
a
my
mess,
mom.
Please.
She needs this
Please
job.
don't tell my mother.
I'll put it back.
My mother needs this job,
promise.
and I promise
I'll-
I can put
Annie.
everything back. And please just let me
Nathaniel
explain.
said gently.
Hey, it's all right.
She stopped
We
talking,
can talk about
but her
this.
chest was still moving fast.
I
I'm not going
promise
to
I
tell
won't
your
tell your
mom you
mother.
did something wrong, he said. You didn't do anything wrong.
You didn't do
She looked
anything wrong.
confused. Children know when adults are lying to make things easier. She searched his face carefully, like she was trying to see if this was a trick. Behind them, Margaret quietly opened the cemetery gate and walked in slowly, but she didn't interrupt. She stood a few steps away, her eyes moving from Annie to the gravestone, to Nathaniel, beginning to understand that something much bigger than a child sneaking food was happening here. Nathaniel glanced at the food Annie had arranged on the stone. The roll, the chicken, the pie wrapped in a napkin, set out carefully, respectfully, like a real meal. You
Did you
brought
bring
this
this
for
food
him,
for your father?
Nathaniel said quietly. Annie
It
nodded
is his
slowly.
birthday.
It's his birthday, she said, as if that explained everything.
Mama
says when
always
it's
said
someone's
birthdays
birthday,
should be
you're
made
supposed to make
nice.
it nice.
Even if it's just sandwiches,
But we don't have a cake
it's still
this
a
year.
proper celebration.
So I brought him some dinner.
They did not have
Nathaniel
a cake
swallowed.
this year,
His throat felt tight.
so she brought
He liked
dinner
chicken,
instead.
Annie added. And pie. I remember.
He really
Not
loved
a lot,
the
but I
chicken,
remember.
and
Margaret
especially
turned
the
her face
pie.
away for a moment, pressing her
I hope
fingers
he knows
against
who
her
brought
lips.
them for him.
Nathaniel looked at the name on the stone again. Daniel Bennett. The letters looked so final, carved into granite. He had spent years building things, buildings, companies, investments, things he believed would last. And yet here was the only thing that truly marked a man's existence in the end. A name,
Hi, Daddy.
2 dates,
I brought
and
the
a child who
dinosaur
still
you
talked to
liked.
him.
Mommy is here too,
When did your
but
father
she's
pass
being
away?
quiet.
Nathaniel
I
asked
miss you.
softly. Annie looked down at her
When
hands.
did your father pass away?
Last year, when the trees
Last
were cold
year.
but there wasn't snow yet. Mama said his heart got too tired.
My father died
Nathaniel
last
closed his
year
eyes briefly.
when the
He did
trees
the
were
math in
cold,
his
but
head
there was
without
no
meaning
snow
to.
yet.
Last year. Around the time he had
My
closed the
father
Milwaukee
died
deal.
last year when
Around the time he
the
had
trees
worked
were
18-hour
cold, but
days
there
for
was
3
no
straight
snow
months.
yet.
Around the time his office had screened most of his calls. He wondered, suddenly and painfully, if Daniel had tried to call him. I didn't know, Nathaniel said quietly.
I did not
More
know.
to the gravestone than to Annie.
Did you know
I
her
didn't
father
know,
at all?
Daniel.
Did you know
Annie
her
looked
father
up.
at all?
You knew my daddy? Nathaniel nodded once.
We were like brothers,
Yeah,
raised in that house.
we grew up together. We were
I
friends
let the
before
wealth
I
come
had
between us.
all this.
My father
He
said you
gestured
were a
slightly
smart friend who
Toward
became
the big
important
house in the distance.
and too busy
Annie
to
followed
ever
his
come
gesture
back.
and then looked back at him. Daddy said he had a friend who became very
Your father
important
should
and
not
very
be
busy,
eating leftovers
she
on
said.
his birthday.
He said you were very smart. He wasn't mad. He just said busy people
That it was
forget to
all
come
she
back
could get without
sometimes.
being seen,
The
and that
words
she chose
landed
the
gently,
best pieces,
but they hurt
trying
more than if
desperately
she had
to
shouted
defend the
them.
crushed pie
Busy
and protect
people
the
forget
meaning
to
of
come
her
back
offering.
sometimes.
I meant your
Nathaniel
father
let out a
deserved
slow
better.
breath and looked down
So
at the
do
little
you.
meal Annie had arranged. He shouldn't be eating leftovers on his birthday, Nathaniel said quietly. Annie's face fell immediately.
Hello there. My
I'm
name is
sorry,
Alara.
she said quickly.
What's yours?
It's just, it was all I could get without
I wrote
anyone
it down
seeing.
and put it in the
But I
book,
picked the good
Mommy.
pieces, and the pie
I
isn't
didn't
that
want you to
squished.
feel
I
worse
tried
if
to
you
keep it
forgot
nice.
Daddy's
Nathaniel
birthday.
shook his head softly.
I visit sometimes
Hey,
when my mother works late.
That's not what I meant.
I sit here
He lowered
telling
his
you
voice even
everything
more.
so you know what is
What I
happening.
meant is,
that her
he
mother is
deserves better.
trying hard,
And
that
so
she
do
is
you.
being good,
Annie didn't
that she
answer.
does not need new shoes
She just
yet,
looked at him,
and that they
like she
are
didn't
okay.
understand the sentence but wanted
Her father
to.
probably
Margaret finally
cannot
stepped
really
closer
eat
and
it,
knelt beside
but
them.
bringing food means you are
Hi,
still
Annie,
taking care of someone
she
you
said
love.
gently. I'm Margaret.
You
Annie
never
nodded
have to sneak
politely.
into the kitchen again.
Yes, ma'am. I know. Margaret smiled sadly. You
You don't
remembered
have
his
to hide the
birthday
food
all
in your
by
pockets.
yourself. Annie nodded
If you're hungry,
again.
you eat. And if it's
I
your
wrote
father's
it on a paper
birthday, we
and
don't
hid it in
celebrate
my
with
book so Mama
leftovers.
wouldn't feel bad if she forgot.
I should have been
She
here long
cries
ago,
when she thinks I don't
and
see.
I am going to be here now.
So, I pretend I don't see. Margaret closed her eyes for a moment, steadying herself. Nathaniel looked back at the gravestone and then at Annie. You come out here a lot?
I can put it
He
back.
asked.
I didn't
Just
mean to take
sometimes,
too much.
Annie said.
It's okay. You don't
When
have
Mama
to put
works
anything
late,
back.
I sit and tell him stuff.
You did
So he
not
knows
take
what's
too
happening.
much. Only
You
what
tell
you
him
believe
everything?
nobody needed.
Annie nodded. That
Has
Mama
your
is
mother
trying very
eaten
hard.
dinner at all tonight?
That I'm being good. That I don't need new shoes yet.
My mom says she
That
eats
we're
at work,
okay.
but sometimes she
Nathaniel
only
felt
drinks
something
coffee.
inside his chest twist again when she said we're okay, because he knew that tone. He had heard that tone growing up. It meant things were not okay, but you said it anyway so the person you loved
Is it
wouldn't worry.
okay if I
The
take
wind
some
moved
soup
through the
home
trees above
for
them,
my mama?
making a low, soft sound like distant waves. Annie looked back at the food on the stone. He probably can't
where do you
really
and your
eat
mother
it,
live?
she said thoughtfully.
In the loud
But Mama
apartments
says when
near
you
the
bring
bus
food to
station.
someone you love, it means you're still taking care of them. Nathaniel nodded slowly. Your mama's right. They sat there in silence for a moment. The kind of silence
I
that
only
wasn't
go when
empty,
Mama works
just full of
late.
things nobody knew how to say
I know
yet.
exactly how
Finally,
to open the
Nathaniel
back door
spoke,
quiet
very
so nobody
quietly.
hears me.
Annie,
You can turn on the kitchen
From
light
now
and take
on,
what you need.
you
Your
don't
mother
have to
won't get in
sneak into the
trouble.
kitchen,
I can drive you home
okay?
now, sweetie.
Annie's whole body tensed again immediately.
I promise you,
I'm sorry.
next year your
I won't
father
do
will
it
get
again.
a real birthday cake.
I promise. No, he said gently. That's not what I mean. He hesitated, choosing his words carefully, because he had a feeling this was one of those moments a child would remember for the rest of her life. What I mean is, you don't have to hide food in your pockets. Not in my house.
We missed
you're
the
hungry,
calls.
You eat.
Now his mother is working
your mom
herself
is
into
hungry,
collapse.
She eats.
Can we do? It
and
just
if it's your
feels so
dad's birthday,
awful.
he glanced
Please
at
have the
small
housekeeper
meal
come
on
to
the
my
stone.
office.
Then we
But
don't
make sure she
celebrate with
understands this
leftovers.
is not disciplinary.
Annie looked at him,
I need
her
to
eyes
speak with her
wide and
sensitively.
uncertain, like she was standing on the edge of something she didn't trust
Please,
yet.
have a seat.
Why? She asked in
I'm
a very
truly
small
sorry to
voice.
have to tell you this,
Nathaniel looked at the name
but we
Daniel
received
Bennett
word this
again,
morning.
then back at her.
We understand
Because,
now that she's been
he
going
said
to the
quietly,
cemetery alone at night,
I should have been here a long
leaving the
time
birthday
ago,
offering.
and I wasn't.
Your
So I'm
husband was
going
my
to be
friend.
here now.
What is the real truth
Annie
about
didn't
this
fully
death?
understand
bills,
what
they
that
keep
meant,
coming.
but she understood
I
the way
was
he
so
said
afraid
it.
they would take
And for the
everything.
first time since he had stepped
is
out
a
of the
management
house that
position
night,
with full
Nathaniel
benefits.
Carter felt like he
Your
was no
father
longer
saved my
walking
life
through a
back
life
then.
built only
Consider
out
this
of
the first
contracts and
installment
numbers.
on a very
He
old
was
debt.
standing in front of a promise he had
Thank
failed
you.
to keep once.
He isn't
And this
forgotten.
time he wasn't going to walk away. Nathaniel didn't remember walking back to the house. Later, he would remember small details, the sound of the cemetery gate closing behind them, the way Annie kept looking back over her shoulder at the gravestone as if she were worried her father might be cold, the way Margaret quietly took Annie's hand without saying a word, but the walk itself felt like something that happened underwater. Slow and heavy and far away. When they reached the back door, Annie stopped on the
If
stone
there is
step and looked
anything
down at her
left in my
shoes.
pockets,
I can put the
I
rest
can
back,
put it back.
she said
I
quietly.
promise.
If there's any left
I
in my
did not
pocket,
mean to take
I didn't
too
mean to
much.
take too much. Nathaniel felt a sharp pain
It
in
is
his
all
chest
right.
at the word too much.
You are safe
He
here
opened
now.
the door and knelt slightly so he was at her level
She did
again.
not take too
Annie,
much,
he said
only
gently,
what she thought
look at me.
no
She
one
did,
needed.
but carefully, like eye contact with adults was something that could get you in trouble if
Whether
you held
the
it
child's
too long.
mother has
You
eaten
didn't
dinner
take
tonight.
too much, he said. You took what you thought no one needed. That's different. She searched his face again, still trying to decide if this was a trap.
My mother says
Margaret
she
spoke
eats at
softly
work.
behind him. Sweetheart, has your mom eaten dinner tonight?
Sometimes
Annie
her mother
hesitated,
only
which
drinks
was answer
coffee
enough.
because it helps
She
when
says
she gets
eats
sleepy.
at work, Annie said finally. But sometimes she just drinks coffee because she gets sleepy. Nathaniel closed his eyes for a moment. Coffee instead of dinner.
Nobody will
He
be
had done
eating
that
cold
himself
leftovers
1,000
tonight.
times, but for completely different reasons. They stepped into the kitchen together. The room felt different now, no longer a quiet, controlled space, but the scene of something
Soup,
Nathaniel knew
chicken,
he would never forget for the
vegetables,
rest of his
bread.
life. Okay, Margaret said gently, moving into action the way some people do when their hearts are too full and they need their hands to do something. First of all, nobody is eating cold leftovers tonight. She turned on the soft lights and opened the refrigerator. We have soup, we have chicken, we have vegetables, we have bread.
You can take your
Nate,
coat off if
can
you
you
like.
heat the soup? Nathaniel
No,
nodded
thank you.
automatically. He took a pot
I'm
from
really
the
not
cabinet and poured the
cold.
soup in, turning on the stove.
It's
The
okay,
simple,
kiddo.
ordinary action
I see
felt
you.
strangely unfamiliar to
We
him,
won't make you comfortable
like he had
until you're
stepped
ready.
into someone else's life. Annie stood near the table,
It's okay, sweetie. You can sit
Not
down right
sitting.
here. Go ahead.
just watching. Her coat still on. You can take your coat off, Margaret
Here
said
you go,
gently.
sweetie.
Annie shook her head quickly. It's okay.
Eat up, it's
I'm
warm.
not cold. Nathaniel knew that answer too. It meant, I don't want to get comfortable somewhere I might not be allowed to stay.
Can I
He
take
pulled
some
out a chair
home
at
for
the
my
kitchen
mother?
table. Sit, he said, not unkindly.
Can I
Annie
take some
hesitated,
food home
then
for
sat
my
on the very
mama?
edge of the
Yes,
chair,
sweetie.
like she was
Of
ready to
course
get
you
up at any
can.
second if someone told her to. Margaret put a
You
bowl
must
of warm
eat
soup in
first.
front of her,
There we will
then
make
tore
a
a piece
plate
of
for your
fresh bread
mother
and set it
afterward.
beside the bowl. Eat, she said softly. Annie looked at the soup for a long moment. Then she said, Can I take some home for my mom? Margaret's face crumpled for just a second before she smiled. Yes, she said, but you're going to eat first. Then we'll make a plate for your mom. Annie nodded slowly, picked up the spoon, and began to eat. Not fast,
Where do you and your
not like
mother
a
live?
starving child in a movie. She ate carefully, politely, like
They
someone who
live
had
in the
learned that eating
apartments
too
near the
fast
bus
made adults
station.
nervous.
The ones with the
Nathaniel
blue
leaned against the
doors.
counter and watched her. He saw Daniel in the shape of her eyes
Old
when she
buildings,
looked down.
cheap
he saw
rent,
Claire in
thin
the careful
walls.
way she held the
It's the
spoon.
kind of home
He saw
people
something
choose
else,
only
too,
after
something that
every
looked
other
like quiet
option disappears.
responsibility.
I
The
was
kind
just
no
wondering,
child should
sweetie,
carry.
do you
Where
like
do you and
living
your
here
mom
with
live?
us?
Nathaniel asked after a while. In the apartments near the bus station,
The apartment
Annie
is
said between
loud.
small bites.
My
The
mother
ones with the blue
says
doors.
loud means
Nathaniel knew
they
the
are
place.
not alone.
Old buildings, cheap rent, thin
It's
walls.
always so quiet here.
The kind of place people moved into when they ran out of
Aren't
other
you lonely?
options. Do you like it,
It is
there?
enough
Margaret
because
asked
I
gently.
want to save
Annie
room
shrugged a
to
little.
eat later with my
It's
mother
loud.
when she gets home.
But Mama says loud means we're not alone. Nathaniel looked down at the counter, at his own reflection in the polished stone. He thought about his house, 10 bedrooms, silent hallways, rooms no one used. Loud means we're not alone. After Annie finished half the soup, She carefully pushed the bowl back a little. "That's enough," she said. "I want to save room so I can eat with Mama when she gets home." Margaret didn't argue. She just nodded and began putting food into containers,
Whether the
soup,
child's
chicken,
mother
bread,
knows she goes
even a
out to the
proper slice
cemetery
of
at
pie.
night.
Nathaniel watched Annie as Margaret packed the food. Annie's eyes
No,
followed
she
every
can't
movement,
know.
not greedy,
It would
just
make her
watchful,
too
like she
scared,
was memorizing
and
a
she would
miracle
be
in case
very
it never
sad.
happened again. "Annie," Nathaniel
I
said
only
quietly,
go when my mother is working
"does your
late.
mom know you go out to the
I know
cemetery
how to
at
open the
night?"
back door
Annie
without
shook her
making
head quickly.
noise.
"No." She would be scared and sad. "So I go when she's working late. I know how to open the back door quiet." That sentence hit him harder than almost anything else she had said. "I know how to open the back door quiet." He wondered how many nights she had walked across that lawn alone. Margaret finished packing the food and handed Annie a small paper bag.
We are very grateful
Annie took it
for
with
your
both
kindness.
hands like it was something
I
important
need you to listen
and
very
breakable.
carefully to me. This
"Thank
is
you,"
important,
she said
and I
politely.
promise you,
Nathaniel
everything
crouched
is going
down
to
in
be
front
all
of her
right.
again. "Annie,
You have to
listen to
trust
me
me.
carefully.
You don't
okay?"
have to sneak
She
food
nodded.
anymore.
"You don't have to sneak
Not
food
for
anymore,"
yourself,
he said.
and not for your
Not
mother.
for you. Not for your mom. If you need food,
If you need
you
food,
come to the kitchen.
Come to the kitchen.
You turn on the light.
Turn on the light.
You
and
take what
your
you
needs
need.
openly.
You understand? She looked at him unsure.
But
"Even
is
if
that
nobody
true?
said I could, I'm saying you can."
Even if
he
nobody
replied.
said I
She
could
hesitated,
before.
then asked the question that told him exactly how her
I am
world
the one
worked.
saying you
"Will I
can.
get Mama in trouble?" The words were
promise
so
you,
small,
it's all
but
right
they
now.
carried the weight of everything. Nathaniel shook his head.
Will my mom
No.
be in trouble because of
"You won't
this?
get your mom in trouble. I promise." He didn't make promises lightly. In business,
No,
promises
sweetheart.
were contracts.
Your mother will not
In
get in
life,
trouble.
He had learned
I
they were more
promise you that.
dangerous than contracts. But he made this one anyway. Annie studied his face for a long moment, then nodded once, like she had decided to believe him, at least a little. Margaret glanced at Nathaniel, and in that glance was a conversation they didn't need to speak out loud. Something had changed tonight. Something that could not be undone by morning.
It's time to go.
"I'll drive you home," Margaret
I'll
said
drive you
gently.
home now, sweetheart.
Annie's eyes widened. "You don't have to. We want to," Margaret said.
We
Annie
don't
looked at
have
Nathaniel,
to.
as if the final
Oh,
decision
honey, we
belonged to
want
him.
to.
He nodded
Really?
once. "We'll take you home." "And Annie?" She looked back at him. "Next year," he said quietly, "your dad is getting a real birthday cake." Annie's eyes filled with sudden tears she hadn't let fall all night.
Next
"Okay,"
year,
she
your
whispered,
father is getting a
and
real
as Nathaniel
birthday
Carter
cake.
stood in his own kitchen, watching a child hold a paper bag of food like it was hope itself, he realized something with a clarity that made his chest ache. All the money he had ever made had never once changed the past. But tonight, for the first time in a very long time, he understood that it might still be able to change someone's future. Margaret drove Annie home a little after 3 in the morning, while Nathaniel stood in the front hallway watching the taillights of the car disappear down the long, curved driveway. The house felt different now. It was still quiet, still perfectly arranged, still expensive in the way only old money and careful investments could make things look, but the silence no longer felt like control. It felt like something had been missing from it for a very long time. He stood there for a while after the car was gone, his hand resting on the back of a chair he didn't remember walking toward. Daniel Bennett. The name kept repeating in his head, not as a memory, but as a question he had never answered. He walked into his study and turned on the desk lamp. The room was lined with dark shelves, framed degrees, photographs with governors and CEOs, plaques, awards, evidence of a life that, on paper, looked like success. Nathaniel sat down slowly in the leather chair and opened the bottom drawer of his desk. He had not opened that drawer in years. Inside were old files, a few letters, and at the very back, under a folder of property maps, a photograph. He picked it up and leaned back in his chair. 2 young men stood in front of a rusted pickup truck, both of them grinning like the world hadn't had time to disappoint them yet. One of them was Nathaniel, thinner, wearing a cheap denim jacket and a hopeful expression. The other had his arm thrown over Nathaniel's shoulder, laughing directly at the camera. "Daniel." Nathaniel ran his thumb slowly over the photo. "We were supposed to do this together," he murmured quietly to the empty room. He remembered nights eating
We're not
burgers
just
that
fixing
cost
these
$2,
places forever, man. We're
talking
gonna
about
own
how
them.
one day they would own buildings
Exactly.
instead of fixing
Tired
them.
of patching drywall?
Daniel
I
had
want
been
the
one
whole
who
damn
stayed
building.
when Nathaniel's father got
Can't
sick.
do this, man. I just
Daniel
can't.
had driven him
Hey,
to
look
the
at me.
hospital when Nathaniel didn't
Whatever
have
it
a
is, we'll
car.
face it together.
Daniel had loaned him $500
Right
once
here.
everything he had saved at the time
is
so
for the
Nathaniel could
certification
finish a
course.
certification course.
can't
Nathaniel
believe
had
you're
paid
doing
back
this.
the $500. He had never repaid the rest. A soft knock came at the study door. Margaret stepped in quietly, still in the same robe, her face tired but alert in the way people look when something important has just happened and sleep no longer matters. "She's home," Margaret said
find?
softly. I
It's
walked her
him.
to the door.
He's alive.
Claire was still at work.
The little girl is home,
Annie
and her
said
mother
she'd
is
put the
still at
food in the
work.
fridge and
The
pretend she
child
didn't
planned
get
to
it from
hide the
us,
food in the
so her mom
refrigerator
wouldn't
so her
worry.
mother would never
Nathaniel
worry.
nodded slowly. Margaret stepped further into the room and saw the photograph in his hand. "That's him?" she asked gently. Nathaniel nodded again.
I haven't looked at that photo in
Yeah.
20 years.
"That's Daniel."
After
Margaret
the
sat down
accident, it
across
was
from
easier
him.
to just pretend
"You
that
never
part of my
told me
life
about
never
him."
happened.
Nathaniel gave a small, tired smile.
The man
"There
in the
are a lot
picture
of
looks
things
like
I never
someone who
told
laughed
anyone
a lot.
about those years." Margaret studied the photo for a moment.
The man in the
"He
photograph
looks like
really
someone
did
who
laugh
laughed
a lot.
He
Even
did,"
when he should not
Nathaniel
have.
said. "Even when he shouldn't have." They sat in silence for a moment.
Did
She
he
said
really
tried
try to call years ago, the night
Margaret
he
said
died?
carefully. "You think that's true?" Nathaniel leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling.
I don't know for sure. Those
But I
years,
know how those
when
years
success
were.
surrounded me, there was so much
I had 3
distance.
assistants.
I was insulated
Calls
from
got
everything that
screened.
mattered.
Messages got summarized. If someone didn't say
All
it was
calls are
urgent
being
business,
filtered through me
there's
today.
a good chance I never
can
even heard the
summarize
phone
your
ring.
request.
Margaret didn't say anything, but she didn't
If a
need
caller
to.
did not sound
The
like
truth was
urgent
already
business,
sitting between
he
them.
may never even
After
have
a
heard the
while,
phone ring.
she said softly, "Claire is working herself to death."
Child's mother is working
Nathaniel
herself
looked
to
at her.
death.
"What do you mean?"
What do you mean by
Margaret
that?
folded her hands in her lap.
Tell me exactly
"I've
what is
noticed it for
happening."
months, Nate.
What exactly do you
She
mean by
takes
that?
extra
I
shifts
mean, the way
whenever
you
the
look
agency
straight
calls.
through Maria when she cleans.
She cleans here
or
all
how
day.
you dismiss the gardener's
Then
request
some
for
nights
sick
she
leave.
goes to clean office buildings downtown. I asked her once why she looked so tired, and she said she liked to stay busy. That's what people say when they're drowning but don't want to scare anyone. Nathaniel felt a slow anger building in his chest, but it wasn't the explosive kind. It was cold and steady. "She shouldn't have to work 2 jobs.
You should not
he
have
said
to work
quietly.
2 jobs.
"She's paying hospital bills," Margaret replied gently. "And rent. And raising a
The
child
mother is
alone.
paying the hospital bills,
In this
the
country,
rent, and raising the
That's enough
child
to break
all
just
alone.
about anyone." Nathaniel looked down at the photograph again.
He should have
He
called
should
me
have called me
directly.
directly.
Maybe
Margaret
he
tilted
did.
her head slightly. Maybe he did. That sentence landed like a stone in deep water.
It's over,
Nathaniel stood
James.
up abruptly and walked to the window,
found the letter notes
looking
and
out over
everything.
the dark lawn toward the small cemetery barely visible under the trees.
I cannot stop
"I keep
thinking about the
thinking
little
about her
girl
out there,"
walking alone in the cold,
he said quietly.
the image haunting him more than
Walking
any
across
business
that yard
loss
alone.
ever could.
In the
She
cold,
crossed the frozen lawn
carrying
with food
food
hidden in her
pockets
coat
like she was
pockets,
smuggling
moving
something.
small and
Margaret
determined through
stood
the
and walked
darkness
over
like
to
she was
him.
carrying something
She
sacred.
wasn't smuggling food,
The child was not
she
smuggling
said softly.
food,
She was
but
trying to take care of her father the only way she knew how. Nathaniel nodded slowly. "Yeah, I know." He was quiet for a long time, then he said,
Tomorrow I am
I'm
calling the
Claire
child's
into
mother
the
into the office.
Margaret looked at him carefully.
Please be gentle
"Nate,
with this.
Be gentle."
I
He gave a
negotiate
small,
billion-dollar
humorless
deals.
smile.
I assure you, I can
"I
be gentle.
negotiate billion-dollar deals.
This
I
is
can be
not
gentle.
business, it is
That's
pride
not the
and
same
grief.
thing," Margaret
That
said.
woman has been
"This
saying
isn't
she is
business.
fine for a very long
This is
time when
pride.
she was anything but.
And grief."
The survival
And a woman
habit of
who has
hiding
probably
pain,
had to say,
often developed to protect a
fine,"
child or maintain
when she wasn't
employment,
fine,
takes an immense
for a very
toll on the
long time.
body.
Nathaniel
gonna
didn't
say tonight?
respond right away. He knew she was right. "What
Honestly,
are you going to say to her?" Margaret asked.
I don't know yet.
Nathaniel thought about that. Really thought.
I know
don't
one thing for
yet,"
certain.
he admitted.
I will not offer
"But
charity.
I know what I'm not going to say."
Instead,
"What's that?"
I propose an
"I'm not going to
opportunity.
offer charity," he said.
The dead friend would have
"Daniel
hated
hate
charity,
that.
and the child's
Claire
mother would hate
too.
it too.
This has to be
It
different."
has to be different,
Margaret nodded
turning a
slowly.
vague feeling
"Then
into
you
a
better
moral
figure out
standard.
what different looks like.
You had better
Nathaniel
figure out
looked
what
back
different
out
looks
toward
like.
the dark edge of the property. Different, he thought. Different meant Claire would not spend the rest of her life cleaning a house that had more rooms than she and her daughter had ever lived in combined. Different meant Annie would never again have to whisper "no one will see" while hiding food in her coat. Different meant that whatever debt he owed Daniel Bennett, he was finally going to stop pretending it didn't exist. "I wasn't there when he needed
Whatever
me,"
debt he
Nathaniel
owes his
said
old
quietly.
friend, he is
I'm
done
here now.
pretending it does not exist.
"And I'm not going to make the same mistake twice." Margaret slipped her hand
I was
into
not
his.
there when my
"Then
friend
don't,"
needed me.
she said.
But I am here
Outside,
now,
the wind
and will
moved
not
through
make
the
the
trees
same
again,
mistake twice.
And somewhere beyond the lawn,
Then don't.
beyond the stone wall, beyond the quiet wealth of Nathaniel Carter's world, a new day was slowly making its way toward morning. Nathaniel did not sleep. He sat in his study until the sky began to turn that pale gray color that comes just before sunrise, the photograph of Daniel still on the desk in front of him. At some point, he loosened his tie, then later realized he had never taken it off the night before. The house slowly came to life, around 6 distant sounds of staff arriving. A door closing somewhere down the hall. The faint clink of dishes from the kitchen. By 7:30, Nathaniel was already in his office at the far end of the house, dressed, shaved, and composed again on the outside. But something in his eyes had changed. The sharp, controlled calm was still there, but now there
The
was
9
something
a.m.
else
London
under it,
call
something
is
heavier,
set.
more personal.
Immediately following,
His
we have the
assistant,
quarterly
Laura,
report
stood
review
in the
at
doorway
11
with a
sharp in the
tablet
main
her
conference
hands.
room.
Good
The 3
morning,
p.m.
Mr.
call
Carter.
regarding the
You
downtown
have a call
acquisition
with
is
Denver
set,
at 9.
followed by the zoning meeting at 4.
At 11.
Hold on a
And
moment, Sarah.
Laura,
About the
he
acquisition.
said gently,
So the
interrupting
quarterly
her.
projections
She
are
stopped
finalized.
immediately.
I just needed you to...
She had worked for him long
Anna,
enough to know that
hold
when
on a
he used
moment.
that tone,
There's something else we need to discuss.
something unusual was coming.
Could you please
Yes, sir.
arrange for one of the
I want
house
you to bring
employees
Claire
to
Bennett
meet
to
me
my
here in the office this morning?
He said.
Yeah.
But don't tell her why.
And
Just
one
say
final
I need
instruction.
to speak with her.
Please make sure
And
she doesn't
Laura,
think she's in any
yes?
trouble.
Make sure
It's
she doesn't
merely a
think she's in
discussion.
trouble. Laura's expression softened slightly. Of
The
course,
house
sir.
employee is
She
already
turned
on
to
the
leave,
early shift in the
then
West Wing.
hesitated. Mr. Carter, Claire is on the early shift today. She's in the West Wing. Nathaniel nodded. Thank you. When Laura left, Nathaniel leaned back in his chair and looked out the large office windows. From here, he could see most of the property, the long driveway, the trees, and far in the distance, partially hidden by morning fog, the small cemetery under the oak tree. He thought about Annie's small hands carefully placing food on a gravestone. He thought about
All
Daniel
this success.
laughing in that old photograph.
Just don't forget where you
telling him,
came from, old
When you
friend.
get rich, don't forget you know me.
I did not
I
truly
didn't forget
my
you,
friend.
Nathaniel said quietly to the empty office.
Failed by never looking
I
back.
just didn't look back. A soft knock came at the door
Excuse
about
me,
20
sir.
minutes
The
later.
woman you requested
Laura
has
opened it
arrived.
slightly. Mr. Carter, Claire is here. Nathaniel stood up
Send her in.
immediately. Send her in.
Please, have a
Claire
seat.
Bennett stepped into the office slowly. Her posture straight,
Hey,
her hands clasped together in front of her. She was still wearing her work
you look
uniform,
incredibly
her hair
tired.
pulled back
Are you all
neatly.
right?
But up close,
I'm fine,
Nathaniel
sir.
could see
Just
the
a long
things he had
shift.
somehow never really looked at before, how
Do go
tired
now.
her eyes were, how thin she had become, the way she held herself
you wanna
like
see me,
someone
sir?
always bracing for bad news. You wanted to see
you
me,
wanted
sir?
to see me, sir?
She said quietly.
Yes, thank you for coming
Nathaniel
in.
walked around
Yeah.
the desk instead of
Please,
sitting
have a
behind
seat.
it. That alone surprised her. She could see it in the slight
Please
widening
relax.
of her eyes.
You are
Claire,
not in any trouble, I
he
promise.
said, his voice calm,
We just need to talk about
but
the
not
incident.
cold. You're not in trouble. I want
Please,
to make that very
sit
clear
down.
first.
I'd like to
She
discuss
nodded
this with you
once,
properly.
But he could see she didn't fully believe him yet.
Yeah, I do.
People in her position rarely did.
I
Please,
appreciate you taking the
sit,
time.
he said,
I wanted to
gesturing to
assure
the
you
chair.
personally that
She
your
hesitated,
concerns are being heard.
then sat
Thank
on
you,
the very
sir.
edge of the chair, her back straight, her hands folded tightly in her lap.
I went to the cemetery
Nathaniel
last
sat in the
night.
chair across from her, not behind the desk. For a
I met
moment,
your daughter here.
neither of them spoke. Finally, he said quietly, I went to the cemetery last night. Claire's entire body
I
went
apologize
still.
immediately, sir.
Nathaniel watched the
I
color
explained
drain
to the
slightly
child
from
not
her
to wander
face.
the property.
I met Annie
I
there.
understand the
He
seriousness. It
continued
won't
gently.
happen again,
Claire
please.
closed her eyes.
I'm so
For a
sorry,
few
sir.
seconds, she didn't
I
speak.
should have kept a closer
and when
eye
she
on him.
did,
Excuse
her
me,
voice
the
was
child
barely
was
above a
not
whisper.
wandering.
I'm
He
so
was waiting
sorry, sir.
patiently.
I
She brought
told
him
her
food.
not to wander
It was his
around the
birthday, you
property.
see. A small
I told her to
cake
stay
and
in the
some
small
sandwiches,
sitting room
just
when
for
she
him.
comes with me.
Can you
She
imagine
must
the
have.
love?
Claire,
I did not
Nathaniel
know
said
the child
softly,
had been doing
stopping
that.
her. She wasn't wandering. Claire's hands tightened together in her lap. She brought food, Nathaniel said.
I sometimes
for her
work
father,
nights and
because
believe
it
the
was his
child was
birthday.
asleep when I
Claire
got home,
pressed her lips together,
never realizing
and
those
Nathaniel
lonely
could see the
nighttime
moment her
trips were
composure
happening
began
in
to
The
crack.
child was just
I
trying to
didn't know
spare
she
you the
was doing
sadness.
that, Claire said quietly.
They heard you
I work
crying in the
nights
bathroom.
sometimes. I thought she was sleeping when I got home. I didn't know she was going out there. She didn't want you to feel sad for forgetting his birthday, Nathaniel said
Try not to
gently.
cry in front of her daughter
She
because the
said you were
child has
tired.
already lost her father
She
and
said you
should not
cry
have
in
to
the
watch her
bathroom when
mother
you
fall
think she
apart
can't
too.
hear you. Claire's face broke then. Not
It
loudly,
was my pedal.
not dramatically.
He
Just
was
a
my
silent
best
collapse
friend.
of the careful mask she had been wearing. I
Are
try
you
not
the
to
old
cry in
friend
front
I've
of her.
heard about? The young man from
Claire
my
whispered.
husband's stories now standing
She's
in front of
already
me
lost her
dressed as the
father.
man who owns the house.
She shouldn't have to watch her mother fall apart too. Nathaniel let the silence sit for a moment. Then he said quietly, Daniel Bennett was my best friend. Claire looked up at him, shocked.
My husband spoke about you all the
Nate?
time.
He nodded once.
He was so proud of you.
Yeah. I'm Nate.
A
She
transcription
stared at him,
is not
searching
needed.
his face
The
like she
user
was trying
prompt
to find
provides
a
a
young man
detailed
she had
scene
heard
description
stories
but does
about.
not explicitly
He talked
request
about you,
dialogue or
she
provide a
said slowly.
I did build these
All the
things.
time. He was
But not
proud
when
of
my
you.
friend needed me most.
He used to say, "My friend Nate is going to build big
Her
things one
husband
day."
never blamed him,
Nathaniel looked down at his
insisting he had
hands.
always
"I built
believed
them,"
busyness
he said
simply meant his
quietly.
friend was
"I
doing
just
what
wasn't
life
there when you
required.
needed me." Claire shook
Forgiveness
her head
does
quickly.
not make the absence
He never
right.
blamed you.
Tell
Not
me the
once.
truth.
Without the
He
polite
said you
version.
were busy, and that meant you were doing what you were supposed to do.
I do not want
That
the safe
doesn't make it
answer,
right,
only the real one.
Nathaniel replied. Claire didn't answer that.
Are you in
After
debt?
a moment, Nathaniel leaned forward slightly. Claire,
Yes.
I need you to tell me the
How
truth
much?
about something. And I don't
How
want
much?
the polite answer. I
It's
want the
fine,
real
we can
one.
manage.
I
She
asked
looked
for the
nervous
total
again,
cost of the
like
damages,
this
not
was
your
the part where
assessment.
something would go wrong.
It was
Are you in debt?
$9,000.
He asked.
The hospital
She
bills
hesitated.
since my husband got
Yes,
sick are
she said
overwhelming.
quietly.
And with
How
the
much?
apartment and the
She shook
payday
her head.
loans, I just don't know how we can
It doesn't
manage.
matter, sir.
That's-
I'm paying it. Claire, he said gently
It's
but firmly.
$75,000.
How much? She swallowed. Hospital bills. After Daniel
That was
got sick. And some from
Are you
before.
working 2 jobs to pay
And
it?
the apartment.
Yes.
And some loans. Her
You've
voice got
likely been
quieter.
skipping meals so your
About
daughter can
40,000.
eat, and the bills
Nathaniel
can be paid.
nodded slowly. That number was nothing in his world. It was everything in hers. And you're working 2 jobs to pay it? Yes. And skipping meals so Annie can eat and you can pay the bills?
I am
Claire
going to
looked
make an
down at
offer.
her hands
Okay.
again. She didn't
Listen
answer,
carefully,
which was
because
answer
what
enough.
follows is not
Nathaniel
charity.
leaned back in his chair and was quiet for
This
a
is
long
structured
moment.
as a professional
When he
role,
spoke again,
a different department entirely,
voice was calm.
with a salary that
But there
reflects
was a
the
weight in it
increased
now.
responsibility.
Claire, I'm
The
going to
offer
make
comes
you an
with
offer,
one condition,
he said.
and she looks
But you need to
confused
listen
rather than
carefully before you
relieved,
say yes
because
or no.
experience has taught
because
her that
this is
every
not
lifeline
charity.
comes tied
Claire
to a
looked up
cost.
slowly.
She and her
This is a
daughter
job,
must stop merely
Nathaniel
surviving
continued.
and start
A
living.
different job, with a different salary. And it comes with one condition. She looked confused. What condition? Nathaniel held her gaze and said quietly, "The condition is that
What
you
kind
and
of job
Annie
do you
stop
mean?
surviving
Well, let's start from the practical
and start
ground
living."
up. Do you
And
currently
to
work
two
through an
point,
agency
Claire
that
stared
sends you
at
into
him,
the house?
not understanding
They
yet,
take a very
but
large
feeling that her
share,
life
sir.
was about to
Nearly
change in a way she
40%
had
of
never
my
allowed
hourly
herself
wage
to
goes
imagine.
straight to the agent.
Claire didn't answer right away. She sat very still in the chair across from Nathaniel, her hands still clasped together. But now he could see something else in her face besides fear and exhaustion. There was caution there, the kind of caution that comes from life teaching you that offers which sound too good usually
kind of
come
job
with
do
a
you
price
mean?
you can't afford later. I don't understand, she said slowly. What kind of job?
Let's discuss your current
Nathaniel
agency
nodded
first.
once, like
I
he
want to
expected
assure you that your
question.
transition will
Right
be
now,
seamless
you work
before
for
we
a
talk
cleaning
about the new
agency that
arrangement.
sends you here,
Does
correct?
the agency take
Yes.
part of your pay?
And they take a percentage of your pay.
Yes.
She hesitated. Yes. How much? She looked embarrassed to say it out
The
loud.
agency takes 40%.
40%. Nathaniel's jaw tightened slightly. 40%. He repeated.
Nearly half.
So, for every 10
47% of
hours
every
you
long
work,
shift just disappears
almost half
before
of
you
that
even
goes
see
to
it.
them. They say it's for placement and
Okay.
transportation and
Placement,
uniforms and administration,
transportation,
Claire said quietly,
uniforms,
repeating the
and
explanation she
administration.
had probably been given many times. Nathaniel gave a small, humorless smile. They say a lot of things. He stood up and walked slowly toward the window, then turned back to face her. I don't want
I'm
you
afraid
working
I
for
no
the
longer
agency
want you
anymore,
working for the
he
agency
said.
anymore.
I want you working directly for me. Claire blinked, confused.
I'm making this more direct because
But
I want you working for me,
I already
not just
clean
cleaning
here.
the house.
Yes.
There's a
Nathaniel said.
significant difference in the scope
But
of
you
work.
clean this house.
You
and
clean
then
this
you go
mansion
clean
by
two
day
office
and
buildings
2
at
office
night,
buildings by
and you're
night,
still
and
drowning
yet you
in
are
bills.
still drowning in bills.
That doesn't make sense
It's
to me.
absurd.
Claire didn't know what to say to that, because to her, it made perfect sense. That was how life worked. You worked until you were too tired to think.
What
and if that
exactly
wasn't
is it
enough,
that you are offering, sir?
You worked more.
More than just
What are you
employment.
offering, sir? She asked carefully. A full-time position as
We
household
see this as a
manager,
household management
Nathaniel said.
position, not a
just
cleaning role. It
Managing
requires
staff
professional
schedules,
trust and
supplies,
organizational
vendors,
oversight.
deliveries, maintenance.
The role
appointments.
encompasses
The house
staff
runs like a
schedules,
small
managing
hotel,
supplies,
and right now Margaret is
liaising with
handling
vendors,
most of that herself.
coordinating deliveries,
It's too
The
much
house
for one
functions like a
person.
small
Claire
hotel,
stared at him.
and one person has been
I've
carrying
never
too much
managed
of that
anything
burden.
like that. You've been managing 2 jobs, a household,
I've never
a sick
managed
husband,
anything like that.
hospital bills, and a child. Nathaniel
I'm afraid
replied
of failing
calmly.
this chance
I
you've
think
given me.
you can handle a staff schedule.
You've been
Claire
managing
looked down
2
at her
jobs,
hands
a
again,
household, a
trying to
sick
process
husband,
what he was
hospital
saying.
bills, and a
And the
child.
salary?
That isn't
She
just
asked
survival,
quietly.
that is leadership.
Nathaniel named a number.
You can handle the staff
Claire looked
schedule.
up so fast it was
I
almost
trust your
like she had
judgment
been
on this.
physically pulled. That's too much, she said immediately. There must be a mistake.
And the
It's not a
salary for this
mistake,
position?
Nathaniel said.
It's $200,000 annually.
It's what the job is worth. And it includes health insurance.
The amount is too much.
for
This must
you
be a
and Annie.
mistake.
It is
Claire just stared
exactly
at
what
him,
the position is
including
worth.
cardiac coverage, he added gently. I read
The role
Annie's
includes
file from
full
the school
health,
nurse this morning.
dental, and vision
Her
coverage
heart
for both
condition
you
requires
and your daughter.
regular checkups.
We want you to feel
That
secure
kind of
here.
insurance matters. Claire's
The
eyes
insurance
filled with
includes
tears
cardiac
again,
coverage
but she blinked
because
them
your
back
daughter's
quickly.
heart
I
condition
can't
requires
accept charity,
these regular
she said,
checkups.
her voice shaking slightly.
I cannot
Daniel
accept this
wouldn't want
charity.
that.
My
And I don't
husband's
want Annie
pride, the
growing
lessons
up
I want
thinking
my
we
daughter to
survived
inherit,
because
they mean
someone felt sorry
everything.
for us.
I have to do this
Nathaniel
myself.
nodded slowly. He had expected that. That's
This
why
is
I
not
told
charity,
you.
but a
He
real
said
job that
quietly,
needs to be done.
This is not charity.
Offered to someone
I'm
he
offering you a
trusts.
job that needs to be done. And I'm offering it to
Do you
someone
really
I
trust me?
She looked at him, surprised.
Yes, I trust you completely.
You trust me? He held her gaze.
You've worked in this house nearly
Claire,
a year.
You've been
Access
working
to
in my
every
house for
room, this
almost a year.
office, my documents
You've
and
had
valuables.
access to every room,
That kind of trust
every
is already
office,
proven. In
personal
all this time, the
documents,
only thing she ever took was
valuables,
food destined for the trash.
everything.
That's all
And
the
in all
proof I
that
need.
time,
I trust
the
you
only thing
completely.
your daughter has taken is food that was going to be thrown away. Yes, I trust you. Claire's composure broke again then, but this time she didn't try to hide it. She covered her face with her hands and cried quietly, shoulders shaking.
What
Years
happens
of
to my
pressure
debt
finally
if I agree
finding
to
somewhere
this?
to go. I'm so tired.
Your debts will be
she
cleared
whispered
immediately,
through
of
her hands.
course.
I'm so tired
You'll
of being
still pay the
scared all
debt,
the time.
but not all at
Nathaniel
once,
didn't
and not
interrupt.
under crushing
He
interest.
just let her cry.
My office
After
will
a minute,
renegotiate with the
she
hospital
wiped her
and the loan
face and
company.
tried to sit up
You
straight
should be
again.
allowed to repay this slowly.
If I say yes,
Like a normal
What
person
happens
should
to
have been
my
allowed
debt?
to from the beginning.
Nathaniel answered carefully, because this
Why are
part
you doing
mattered.
this?
You will pay it, he said.
Why her
but
family?
not all at once.
I
and
need
not
to know
with interest
why.
that eats you alive. I'll have my office call the hospital and the loan company and renegotiate
I
everything.
suppose you recognize him.
You'll pay it back over time.
James was my oldest friend.
Slowly, like a normal person
My
should have
husband
been
loved
allowed
that
to in the
picture.
first place.
A
Claire looked at
$500
him,
loan from
searching his
years ago
face.
changed the course of my life
Why are
and
you
led to my
doing
first
this?
real job.
Nathaniel didn't answer right away.
I repaid the money, but
He
never
walked
truly
back to the
repaid
desk,
what I owed.
picked up the old photograph of him
My
and
husband
Daniel,
never believed he was owed
and
anything
placed it
at all.
gently in front of her. Claire picked it up with trembling hands. He loved
What
this
is going to
picture,
happen
she
to
said
my
softly.
daughter?
He kept a copy
will
in
make
his
sure
wallet
she
for
is
years.
taken care of.
Nathaniel nodded.
I
He
cannot
loaned me
leave my daughter alone,
$500 when
and
we
I
were
can't
23
afford
and I was
after-school
broke
care.
and trying to finish a
Sometimes I have to
certification
bring her here
course.
and tell her to stay quiet.
That $500 is the reason I got
You
my
never
first
need to
real
apologize
job.
for taking
That
care of
job
your
is the
child.
reason I started my
The
company.
guest house on the
Claire looked
property
up
is
at him.
fully furnished
I paid
and
him back the
rent-free.
$500. Nathaniel
Living on
said
the property
quietly.
would keep the child safe,
But I never repaid the
bring the
rest
mother
of what I
closer
owed
to
him.
work, and
Not
let the little
really.
girl visit her
Claire
father's
looked down
grave
at the
in
photo
daylight.
again, then back at
I don't know
Nathaniel.
how I can ever thank
He
you.
never thought you owed him anything.
Do the
I
job
know,
well, raise your
Nathaniel said.
daughter,
That's
build
what
a good
made him
life
who
for
he
yourself.
was. The room
Yes.
was very quiet.
I accept the
Finally,
position.
Claire asked
Good.
in a small voice.
We will
"What
start
about
fixing
Annie?"
what should have been
Nathaniel's
fixed
expression
long ago.
softened slightly. What
I
about
really
her?
should finish the
She
West
can't stay
Wing, or
alone
at
in
least
that
the
apartment
laundry
when
before I
work.
leave. I just can't believe
And I
I'm
can't
allowed
afford
to stop.
after-school
It's fine,
care.
truly. You've done enough
That's
for
why
today.
sometimes I had to bring her here and tell
When
her
life
to stay
gives you a
quiet in the
door,
sitting room.
you do not
I know
stand
that
there
wasn't part of my
apologizing.
job.
You walk
I'm
through it.
sorry. You don't need to apologize for taking care of your child, Nathaniel said. He thought for a moment, then said, "There's an empty guest house on the property. Small, but fully furnished. No rent. If you take the job, you and Annie can live there." Claire stared at him like she hadn't heard correctly. "On the property? Yes," he said. "You'd be close to work. Annie would be safe." And he hesitated slightly.
It is for
And she could
Daniel.
visit her father whenever she wants. During the day. Not alone at 2 in the morning. Claire started crying again, but this time she didn't try to stop. "I don't know how to
Mama,
thank you,"
are we in
she
trouble?
whispered. Nathaniel shook his head gently. "You don't thank me.
Welcome.
You do the job
This guest
well.
house is yours now,
You raise
starting
Annie.
today. We
You
hope you'll
build a
be
life.
very comfortable here.
That's how you thank me."
The food
Claire
is
nodded
already
slowly,
there.
still
You
crying.
never have to hide
But there was
food.
something else in her face now, too. Relief. The kind of relief that doesn't come from being saved,
Perhaps we should
but
have
from
a
finally
proper
not being
birthday
alone
celebration
anymore.
for your
"Okay,"
father.
she said quietly.
Can we take it to
"I'll
him
take
now,
the job."
please?
Nathaniel nodded once. A simple, final gesture. "Good," he said. "Then let's
I
start
am
fixing
late,
what should have been fixed a
but
long
I am
time
here
ago."
now.
Claire
You
did
are
not
done
return
for
to
the
work
day.
that
You
afternoon.
must go home now.
Nathaniel insisted on it, and for the first time in years, She did something she normally would never do. She
I am
went home
so
in the middle
sorry.
of the
I
day
know this
without
is
finishing her
unprofessional,
shift.
but I really must
At
leave
first,
early today.
she kept
My
apologizing,
sister,
standing
it's
in
all
the
right,
kitchen
really.
with her
We
bag in her
understand.
hands, saying she
Cleaning
could
the
finish
West
the West
Wing,
Wing first.
doing
She could at
laundry,
least do the laundry.
returning
She could
after
come
dinner.
back after dinner. Margaret finally took her gently by the shoulders and
We
said,
want you to stop cleaning
Claire,
and start managing
listen
the
to me.
estate.
when life gives
Time
you
you
a
have the
door,
respect you deserve.
you don't stand there apologizing. You walk through it. Claire had nodded, still a little stunned, and left. Now it was late afternoon, and Nathaniel stood with Margaret near the small guest house on the far side of the property. The house had originally been built for Nathaniel's parents when they got older, but they had both passed before they ever moved in. Since then, it had been used only a few times for long-term guests. It was small compared to the main house.
So what do you
but
think?
It was still a
We
full,
tried to make it
warm,
feel like home.
Beautiful home.
It's
2
beautiful.
bedrooms, a small
Truly
kitchen,
remarkable.
a living room with big windows facing the trees, and a front porch that caught the morning sun. Margaret opened the door and stepped inside, turning on the lights. I had the cleaning
They
staff
thought
come in
of
after
everything.
lunch, she said.
It feels
Fresh
so
sheets,
safe.
groceries
I
in the
know.
fridge,
Just
basic
breathe.
clothes and toiletries. I didn't know Annie's size, so I guessed
I
a
had the
little.
fresh sheets
Nathaniel
changed,
looked around slowly.
groceries
The house
stocked,
smelled like
and even
clean
brought in
laundry
some
and lemon
basic
polish.
toiletries and
On the
clothing
small
after
kitchen
lunch.
table, Margaret had placed a bowl of fruit and a small vase with yellow flowers. You did all this today? He asked. Margaret shrugged lightly. I had help.
Was
And
all of this really done
I may
today?
have gone a little overboard at the store. Nathaniel walked into the kitchen and opened the
I'd help.
refrigerator.
And I may have
Milk,
gone a little overboard at
eggs,
the store.
Fruit, vegetables, juice,
Yeah. I have
sandwich
to
meat,
admit, I had some help.
asib,
And
a
I might have
small
gone a
chocolate
little
cake
overboard at the
in
store.
a white box. He looked back at Margaret. Cake? Margaret smiled a little sadly. For Daniel, Annie said they didn't have one this year. Nathaniel closed the refrigerator slowly and nodded once. He couldn't speak for a moment. A car pulled up outside about 20 minutes later. Claire stepped out first,
It is for the
looking
little girl's
nervous
late
again,
father,
and Annie climbed out
because
after
there
her,
was no
holding
cake
her
this
mother's
year.
hand. Annie looked up at the guest house, then at the main house in the distance, then back at the guest house again. Are we in trouble? Annie asked quietly. Claire knelt in front of her. No, baby. We're not in trouble. Nathaniel and Margaret stepped out onto the porch. Annie saw them and immediately stood a little straighter, like she did when she thought she was supposed to be on her best
No,
behavior.
baby.
Nathaniel walked down
Everything
the
is gonna
steps
be all
slowly.
right. Just stay close to me.
Hi, Annie. Hi, sir,
Are we
she said politely. You don't have to call me sir.
No,
he
baby,
said.
we're fine.
You can call me Nathaniel.
Everything is gonna be all
or
right.
Nate. She looked unsure about that. Children are very aware of social lines, especially children who grow up watching their parents work for other people. Yes, sir, she said anyway. Margaret smiled gently. Why don't you come inside and see the house? Claire looked at Nathaniel. Sir,
Good evening.
I don't
Sir.
understand.
Sir,
You said live here, but I thought maybe you meant later. After paperwork.
Please, you don't need to call
After
me
I started
sir.
the new job. I didn't think you meant
My friends call me
today.
William.
Nathaniel nodded.
sir,
I meant today.
Please come in. We'd love for you to see
There's
the
no
house.
reason for you and Annie to spend another night in that apartment. Claire's eyes filled again, but she tried
I
to
thought
hold
the
it
offer
together
meant
for
sometime
Annie.
later.
They walked inside
After
together.
the paperwork and after
Annie
starting
stepped
the
in
new
slowly,
job.
looking around like
tonight.
she was afraid to touch anything. This
I
is
mean today.
for us? She
There is
asked
no
quietly.
reason for you.
Yes,
To spend
Margaret
another
said.
night in the old
This is for you
apartment.
and your mom. Annie walked into the living room and looked at the couch, the bookshelf, the soft rug. Then she walked into the kitchen and saw the fruit bowl. She turned to her mom and whispered, but everyone could hear it. Mom, the food is already here. Claire covered her mouth with her hand. Nathaniel looked away for a moment,
is this
giving them
house
both a
really
second.
for us?
Margaret
Yes,
walked over to the
sweetie.
fridge
It's
and
all
opened
yours
it.
now.
There's more in here, she said gently. And you don't have to hide
The
any
food
of
is
it.
already here
Annie
before
walked over
we've even
slowly and looked
unpacked.
inside the fridge. Her eyes widened slightly when she saw how full it was. Can we really eat it? She asked. Yes, Nathaniel said. That's what food is for. Annie nodded slowly, like she was learning a new rule
There is
about the world.
plenty of food
Margaret
here,
then reached
sweetie.
into the fridge
You don't
and took out
ever
the
have
small
to hide it
chocolate
again.
cake. We thought maybe, she said softly, we could have a proper birthday for your dad. Not at night. Not alone.
Can
Annie
we
stared
really
at the
eat
cake,
the food?
Then looked
This is
up
what
at
food is
Nathaniel.
for.
Can we take it to him? Nathaniel nodded. Yes, we can.
Can we
So just
really
before
eat the
sunset,
food?
This
the
is
four
what
of them
food
walked
is for.
together across the lawn toward the cemetery. This time Annie wasn't alone. This time she wasn't carrying food hidden in her pockets. She carried the cake carefully in both hands while Margaret carried plates and forks. When they reached the grave,
I suggest
Annie
we give the
knelt down
child's
again.
father a proper
But
birthday
this time she smiled a
not in
little.
the dark
"We
and
brought
not
you
alone.
a cake, Daddy," she said. "A real
Let's
one.
give him a proper birthday
I
this
told
time.
you I would bring you something
Not in
better."
the dark.
Nathaniel
and
stood
not
a few
alone.
steps back, his hands in his coat pockets, looking at
Can we
Daniel's
take it to
name
my
on the
father?
stone.
Yes.
"I'm late," he said quietly, almost under his breath. "But I'm here now." Margaret cut a small slice of cake and put it on a plate, and Annie placed it carefully in front of the gravestone next to where she had put the leftovers the night before. Then Annie did something that surprised Nathaniel. She cut another slice and held it up to him. "You were his friend," she said, "so you have to have some too."
We don't
Birthdays
have
are
to
for
hide it
sharing.
this time.
Nathaniel looked
We
at
can
the small
finally
piece of
celebrate
chocolate cake in
properly.
her hand, then slowly reached out and took it. "Thank you,"
Look,
he said.
Daddy.
They stood
A
there
real
together as the
cake.
sun went down behind the trees.
I told you
the
we'd
sky
come back
turning
with a
orange
real
and then
one.
purple, the air
Don't
getting
worry,
colder.
Daddy.
For the first time
He
in a
said
long
he's gonna
time,
make things better
Nathaniel
now.
Carter did not feel like a man
I told
standing
him
on
you were
top
the
of
best.
everything. He felt like a man standing where he should have
I
been
know
all
I'm
along
late,
next to an
but
old
I'm here
friend.
now.
Keeping a promise he had almost forgotten, and helping a small girl learn that she never had to be invisible again. The first morning Annie woke up in the guest house. She didn't get out of bed right away. She lay very still under the blanket, staring at the ceiling, listening. The house was quiet, but not the same kind of quiet as the apartment near the bus station. That place had thin walls, pipes that knocked at night, people arguing in the hallway, cars passing, sirens, footsteps above their ceiling. Quiet there meant everyone was asleep for a few hours before the noise started again. This quiet was different. This quiet felt safe. She sat up slowly, holding the blanket around her shoulders, and looked around the room. The walls were light cream, the curtains soft blue, and there was a small bookshelf in the corner with actual books on it, not old magazines, not torn paperbacks left behind by someone else, but books that looked new. For a moment, Annie just watched the morning light come through the window and land on the floor in a bright square. Then she got out of bed and walked down the short hallway to the kitchen. Claire was already awake, standing at the counter in her work uniform, but she wasn't rushing the way she normally did. She was making
Is
eggs
this
in a
all for
pan,
us, Mama?
and there was toast on a plate and
Are
2
we allowed
glasses
to
of
eat the
orange
guest
juice on
food
the
today?
table. Annie stopped in the doorway. "Mom?" she said quietly. Claire turned and smiled, but her eyes filled with tears almost immediately.
It's
"Good
okay,
morning,
baby.
baby."
It's all for
Annie
us.
looked at the table. "Is that breakfast?" Claire let out a small laugh that sounded like it had been
We're gonna
stuck in her
sit down
chest for a
and
long
eat
time.
together.
"Yes,
We
that's
have to
breakfast.
get to work and school like
And
normal
we're both
people.
going to sit down and eat it at the same time. And then we're both going to leave this house together and go to work and school like normal people." Annie walked slowly to the table and sat down.
Do we
She looked
really
at the
not
plate
have
of
to
eggs
save
like
the
she didn't
food?
want to touch
No,
it until
sweetie.
someone
Go ahead and
confirmed it
eat.
was real. "We don't have to save it?" she asked. Claire shook her head. "No, we don't have to
Food
save
tastes
it."
better
Annie picked
when
up
you
her
are
fork
not
and took a
worried.
small bite. Then another. Then she looked up at her mom. "It tastes better when you're not worried," she said very seriously. Claire had to look away so Annie wouldn't see her cry again. After breakfast, they walked together toward the main house. Annie held her mother's hand the whole way, but not because she was scared.
We
It
need to
was because she
finalize
was
the
happy,
quarterly
and she
reports
didn't
by
want to walk
noon,
too fast
ensuring
and wake
all
up
the
from whatever
subsidiaries'
this was.
financials are
Inside the
incorporated
main
before we
house,
pre.
Nathaniel was already in
Thank
his
you
office,
for the house,
going over
the
documents
food,
with
and
Laura.
the cake.
When Annie knocked softly
My
on
father
the
would have
open
liked
door,
the cake.
both adults looked
you.
up. "Good morning,"
May I
Annie said
visit my
politely.
father after school
Nathaniel leaned
sometimes?
back slightly in his chair.
I know
"Good
the
morning,
nighttime
Annie."
visits were
She
frightening.
stepped inside.
The
"Thank you
child
for the
never
house,"
frightened him.
she said.
What frightened
"And the
him
food,
was seeing
and the
her
cake.
outside alone
My dad
at
would have
night.
liked the cake."
At night.
Nathaniel nodded once. "I'm glad."
You may
Annie
visit your father
hesitated,
any
then
time
asked,
after school and
"Can I
never have
visit
to
him after
sneak
school
or hide
sometimes?
anything on the property again."
"Not at night." "I know that
Yes,
scared
Mr.
you."
Harrison.
Nathaniel felt something tighten in
mean,
his chest again at how
James.
carefully she said that.
Thank you, James.
"You never scared me," he said gently. "I was scared
When
because
should I
you were
begin
out there
learning my new
alone.
responsibilities?
That's different. And yes,
We can
you can
start the
visit him
training
anytime you
immediately.
want. You don't have to sneak
can roll,
anymore.
though.
You don't have to hide anything on this property.
When was the
Do you
last time you had a
understand?
day off?
Annie nodded.
Well,
Yes,
today is your
see.
rest day.
She stopped herself.
I appreciate the concern,
Yes.
but I really
Nate.
can't take the
It
day
felt
off.
strange to her to
I
say
have
his
to prove
name,
I can handle
like
this
she
new
was
job.
breaking a rule.
I understand that,
Nathaniel
however.
just gave a small nod like it was exactly what he wanted her to say. Claire
I have
stepped into
already
the
seen
office
what you
behind
can
Annie.
handle.
I wanted to ask what time you want me to start learning
Today
the
you
new
will rest, and
responsibilities,
tomorrow another
she said.
woman will guide you through staff
I don't want to
schedules,
slow
vendors,
anything
and
down.
household accounts,
Nathaniel looked at her
structuring
for
your
a
future.
moment, then said,
This is a management
when was
job,
the last time you
not
had
a
a day
punishment.
off? She
And
looked
that no one
confused by the
proves they
question.
deserve it by exhausting themselves.
I don't remember. Then today is your day off, he said.
Thank you.
She immediately shook her head. I can't do that. If I'm going to take this job,
The changes you are implementing
to
are
prove I can
restructuring
handle
the
it.
entire household
Nathaniel stood
staff,
up.
creating a
Claire,
new
I've
atmosphere of
already seen
deliberate
what you can
institutional
handle.
change.
You handled more
This
than
morning,
most
I
people
personally
ever could.
handled the calls to the
Today,
hospital
you're
billing
going to rest.
department, the loan
Tomorrow,
company, and the
Margaret
school
will walk you through
administrator.
everything, the
They are
staff
all
schedules,
squared away.
the vendors,
This is
the
personal.
household accounts. This is a management
Yes.
job, not a punishment. You don't prove you deserve it by exhausting yourself.
Handle this
Claire
personally.
didn't know
I
how
want
to
it done
respond to
quickly
that.
and quietly.
No one had ever
Of
told her to
course.
rest
I'll
without
ensure
making her
everything
feel
is
lazy.
processed immediately
Okay,
and with complete
she said
discretion.
quietly. Thank you. After they left the office, Laura looked at Nathaniel and said, "You're changing the entire structure of the household staff." "Yes," he said. "And you personally called a hospital billing department this morning," she added. "And a loan company. And a school administrator." Nathaniel picked up a pen and signed the last document on his desk. "Yes." Laura studied him for a moment.
It's
"This
very
is personal."
expensive.
Nathaniel
Maybe
didn't
we
deny
should
it.
get it.
"Yes."
Don't worry about the
Laura
price,
nodded
sweetie.
once.
It looks
"Then I'll make
wonderful
sure
on
everything
you."
moves quickly. By the end of the week, things began to change in
You do
ways
not
Annie
need
could
to look at
actually
those
see.
anymore.
Her mom no longer left the house at night to clean office buildings. There was always food in the kitchen. She got a real desk in her room with a lamp for homework. Margaret took her to buy clothes that actually fit, and Annie kept checking the
Hello
price
there.
tags like she was doing
I
something
have something
wrong until
here
Margaret
just for you.
gently removed them and said, "You don't need to look at those anymore." But the biggest change happened one afternoon when Nathaniel came to the guest house and knocked on the door. Annie opened it. "I have something for you," he said. He handed her a small paper bag. Inside was a photo frame. Annie pulled it out and saw the picture two young men in front of an old truck, laughing, arms
That
around
smiling
each other.
young laborer
"That's
in
my
the
dad,"
photo is your father.
she said immediately.
And the other
Nathaniel
laughing young
nodded.
man is myself.
"Yeah,
many years
that's your
earlier.
dad. And that's me, a long time ago." Annie looked at the picture for a long time.
Her father
"He
looks
looks really
happy.
happy." "He was," Nathaniel said.
We both were happy back
We
then.
just didn't know how fast
simply
life was
did not
going to
know
move."
how fast
Annie
life would
looked up
move.
at him.
Were you really
"Were you
my
really
father's
his best friend?" Nathaniel nodded once.
I was supposed to be your
Yeah.
father's best friend.
"I was supposed to be." Annie thought about that, then said something that stayed with
If he
Nathaniel
is
for a
here
very
now,
long time.
that means
"Then
it
it's
is
okay,"
still okay.
she said. "You're here now. So
You can still be that best friend.
The first real problem came 2 weeks later. Until then, everything had felt almost too smooth, like life had quietly decided to apologize for all the years it had been hard on Claire and Annie. Claire was learning the new job quickly faster than Nathaniel had expected. She organized schedules, fixed a long-standing
These truffle
inventory problem
imports
in the
are
pantry,
20% over the agreed
renegotiated a
rate listed
supply
right here.
contract
Oh, you
Margaret
are
didn't even know was
absolutely right. I missed
overpriced,
that.
and within
Deliveries
10
to the
days
left,
the entire
linens
household ran
upstairs.
more efficiently
Please update the
than
log
it
when
had in
finished.
years. She was good at it.
Optimizing now.
Not because she had training, but because she had spent her whole life solving problems with no money, no time, and no room for mistakes. But peace never lasts long without something coming to test it. It was a Tuesday afternoon when Laura knocked on Nathaniel's office door with a different expression than usual, professional,
A man has
but
arrived
tight around
asking
the edges.
specifically for
"There's
Claire
a man
Bennett."
here asking for Claire Bennett," she said. Nathaniel looked up from his desk. "Who?"
The
He says
agency
his name
handling
is
the
Rick
reorganization
Halpern.
is called
He's from
Viridian
Mid-City
Partners.
Staffing. Nathaniel's expression changed immediately. "The agency."
He's not here for a courtesy
Laura
call,
nodded.
sir. It appears
"Yes, sir.
he means business.
"And he's not here to say hello." Nathaniel stood slowly. "Where is he?" "In the
I
front
kept Claire
sitting room."
away and placed the visitor
I
in the
didn't
front
bring
sitting
Claire
room
in.
first.
"I thought you might
Even the
want to speak
staff
to him
understand
first."
this encounter is
"You were
dangerous.
right," Nathaniel said. When he walked into the sitting room, the man standing near the window turned around quickly. Rick Halpern was in his mid-40s, wearing a suit that was
there you
trying
are.
very hard to look
We were
more
just
expensive
admiring
than it
the view.
was.
A
He
fitting
smiled the
estate for
moment
such
he
a
saw
discerning
Nathaniel.
client.
I imagine you're here to
But it was
discuss
the
the
kind of
terms.
smile that never reached the eyes. "Mr. Carter," Rick said, extending his hand. "I was hoping to speak with you." Nathaniel didn't take the hand. He walked into the room slowly and sat down instead, crossing one leg over the other. "You're here about Claire Bennett," Nathaniel
We appreciate
said.
your time
Rick
regarding
lowered
the
his
agency
hand and cleared his
contracts and the
throat.
standard private
"Yes.
hiring fees.
This
Claire
isn't
is
about
under
the fees.
contract with our
It's
agency.
about Claire Bennett.
When one of
We're
our
talking about
employees is
significant
hired
placement
privately by
fees
a
here.
client,
Nah.
there are
And
placement
exactly how
fees.
significant are they?
Significant placement fees. Nathaniel looked at him calmly.
The outstanding balance, including
How
the administrative
significant?
overheads, is
Rick
detailed
named
on
a
page
number.
3.
And the early
It
termination
was
fee.
outrageous.
Precisely. All standard
Added with
procedure, I assure you.
administrative fees,
The language in this document
contract
is quite
termination
colorful,
penalties,
but I
and
prefer
something
plain
called
English.
client conversion
This
compensation.
is blackmail.
Nathaniel almost
This isn't
smiled.
a placement fee,
but there
Mr.
was no
Davies. It's a
humor in it.
ransom.
That's not a placement fee.
We operate
he said.
strictly within the bounds of the
That's a
signed
ransom.
contract, sir.
Rick's smile tightened.
If Claire doesn't
It's a legal
comply, we will
contract,
be forced to
Mr.
pursue
Carter.
legal action.
Claire Bennett
That
signed
includes
it.
seeking
If the
wage
fee isn't
garnishment
paid,
and, of
we
course,
can pursue
all
legal
court
action.
costs.
Wage
Whether the
garnishment,
staffing agent
court
is
costs.
threatening the young
It could
mother,
become very
turning a
difficult
legal
for her.
conversation into a
Nathaniel
moral
leaned forward
confrontation.
slightly, his voice still calm.
The legal
Are you
reality,
threatening
sir,
her?
is that
I'm
the severance
explaining the legal
packages meet the
reality.
absolute
Rick
minimum
replied smoothly.
requirement.
Nathaniel
We
studied him
anticipate
for a
no
long
challenges.
moment. Rick shifted slightly under that gaze.
There is one thing you must
Finally,
understand
Nathaniel
clearly
said,
before
"Let me
this
explain
confrontation
something to you,
moves any
Mr.
further.
Halpern. Claire Bennett
This is not a matter of
your
contract
property.
law. A human
She
being is not a
an
line
asset
item on a balance
spreadsheet.
sheet, nor are they
She
your
is a
property.
human being who
We will
worked
not
for you
proceed
while
on
you
those
took
terms.
40% of her pay and called
You
it
take
opportunity.
40% of the woman's
Rick's
wages and
expression
call it
hardened.
opportunity.
That's how the industry works.
Heidi.
Nathaniel nodded slowly. Yes,
We
I
have to
know.
look at the market
That's the problem.
realities.
Rick
We frame
adjusted
this
his
as
tie.
flexible compensation to stay
If the fee
competitive.
isn't paid,
It's completely standard
we will have to
practice across the
contact her
board.
directly
The
and-
financial settlement
No,
is contingent on
Nathaniel
her
said
silence.
quietly,
Otherwise, we will
but
have
the
to
word
contact her
landed like a
directly
door
regarding the
slamming.
breach of
You
contract.
will not
That won't be
contact her.
necessary.
You
The
will not
discussion
call
is
her.
over.
You will not
Effective
send letters to
immediately,
her apartment.
I am
You
forbidding
will not
all
speak to
future
her at all.
calls,
Rick
letters,
laughed a
or
little.
any
Mr.
contact
Carter,
whatsoever with the young
respect,
mother.
You don't get to
I
decide
understand
that.
your perspective,
Nathaniel
but
stood up
ultimately,
then,
you do
and the
not
temperature
get to
in the room
decide the
seemed to
terms
drop
of the
a few
agreement.
degrees. I do, he said. The two men stood facing
The
each
businessman
other now.
begins explaining
You see,
that men like the
Nathaniel
staffing
continued,
agent misunderstand
his voice
power,
low and
mistaking
controlled.
loud threats
Men
and
like you
fine
think
print
power
for
is
true
loud.
control.
You think it's
Real
threats
power
and
is
contracts and
quiet.
fine print. But real
The power
power
to
is
decide
quiet.
which
Real power
problems
is deciding
disappear.
which problems disappear and which ones don't. Rick didn't smile anymore. Nathaniel walked to the small table, picked up a pen, and wrote a number on a piece of paper. He slid it across the table.
The number
That's
represents
the amount your
everything the agency
taken
has
from Claire
already
Bennett's
taken
pay
from
in
the
last
young
11
mother's
months,
wages over
Nathaniel
11
said.
months.
40%.
40%
every hour.
of every
I had my
hour
office run
worked.
the numbers this morning.
The exploitation
Rick
is
didn't
now
touch the
concrete,
paper.
impossible
Nathaniel
to ignore.
leaned slightly closer.
The terms are
what's going to
final,
happen.
Robert. By the time
You
the
are going to
markets open
consider that
tomorrow, the
money
shares
your
must be
placement fee.
transferred, or you
You
lose
are going
everything.
to consider Claire Bennett's contract fulfilled.
Treat the stolen
and
wages
you are
as
going
the
to
fee.
leave this house
Consider the
and never
contract
contact her
fulfilled.
again.
Leave the
Rick's jaw
house
tightened.
and never contact the young
And
mother
if we
again.
don't, Nathaniel
What
held his
happens if the
gaze.
agency
Then I
refuses?
start
We'll
asking
have
very
detailed questions about
your
undocumented
company's
labor,
contracts with
overtime
undocumented
abuses,
workers,
and payroll
your
deductions.
overtime practices,
He would
and your
ask those
payroll
questions to
deductions.
people with badges and
And I
audit
don't ask
teams.
those questions to you. I ask them to people with badges and audit teams. The room went very quiet. Rick stared at Nathaniel, trying to decide if this was a bluff. It wasn't. After a long moment, Rick picked up the paper, looked at the number, then folded it once and put it in his pocket.
The businessman
You're a
is very
expensive man
expensive to argue with.
Mr. Carter, he said.
Yes, he is
Nathaniel's expression
expensive
didn't
to argue
change.
with.
Yes, I am. Rick walked toward the door, then stopped. You're doing all this for one maid?
All
Nathaniel
this is
answered
really
without
for one
hesitation.
maid.
I'm doing this for
I
the
owe her a
daughter of a
debt
man
long
who once
before I
gave me
had any of this.
$500 when I had nothing. Rick left without another word. A few minutes later, Claire knocked on Nathaniel's office door, her face pale. Laura said someone from the agency was here.
I heard someone from
Am
the
I
agency came by the house.
In trouble? Nathaniel
Am I
looked
in
up at her
trouble?
and said calmly, "No,
You are not in trouble.
you're free." Claire
You
didn't
are
understand
free
at
to go.
first. Free? You don't work for them anymore, he said.
The
You work
agency
for me.
contract is finished.
The contract
You
is
work directly
finished.
for me now, and
They
you're
won't
free from their
contact you
fees for
again.
good.
Claire stared at him, trying to understand how something that had trapped her for so long could end in a single afternoon. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Nathaniel shook his head slightly. You don't have to say anything. Just do your job well. Raise your daughter. And when
What
she
to
grows
say?
up, make sure she never believes she has to
You owe
hide
no
food in her
speech,
pockets
only a
ever
good
again.
life. Do the job
Claire's
well,
eyes filled
raise
with
your
tears
daughter,
again.
and build
But
something
this
safer
time she
than
was
the life we
smiling when she
survived
said,
before.
Make sure your
Yes, sir.
daughter never grows up
I
believing
will.
she must.
The trouble did not end with the agency. Problems like that rarely traveled alone. They came in groups. Quietly at first, then all at once.
Mr. Harrison,
It started on a gray
I
Thursday
apologize
morning
for
when
the
Claire
interruption,
knocked on
but it's
Nathaniel's
urgent.
office door again.
We have a
But
situation.
this time she didn't wait to be invited in.
Tell me
Annie
what
stood
happened.
behind her,
It was
clutching
an
her
accident,
backpack
Mr.
with
Harrison.
both hands, her
She
face
didn't mean
pale in
any
a way
harm.
Nathaniel had never seen before. Something happened
I
at school,
apologize for
Claire
interrupting,
said,
sir, but
her voice
Something
tight.
significant happened at the
Nathaniel
school
stood
this morning.
immediately.
It
What
concerns
happened?
the girl.
Annie looked down at the
It's
floor
okay,
and
baby.
didn't speak.
Just tell him what happened.
Claire rested a gentle hand on her
He
shoulder.
just wants to
Tell him,
understand.
Claire said softly.
brave.
It's okay. Annie swallowed. My teacher said I
My
might have to
teacher
change
said
schools,
I might have to
she
change
said quietly.
schools.
Nathaniel frowned. Why? Claire answered this time.
The old apartment near the
Because
bus
our
station
address
was in a
changed.
different school district.
The apartment near
This
the bus
move has
station was
triggered
in
a
a different school
bureaucratic problem
district.
we can't seem to
The
control.
guest house is in this district.
I've provided the transfer
school says
records,
she
the
needs
residency
transfer
forms,
records,
the medical
residency
files, and
forms,
still there's a waiting
medical
list.
records, and there's a waiting list. They said it could
She
take
can't
months.
enroll here.
Months?
They said she has to go
Nathaniel
back to the
repeated.
old district.
Claire nodded.
Months.
They said she
We
might
have to
have to
wait
stay home
months.
until there's space. Or go back to the old district.
I
But
don't
we don't
want to
live there
miss
anymore.
school because
Annie
I
spoke very
like
quietly. I don't want to miss school. I like school. Nathaniel looked at her for a long moment. He remembered Annie in the cemetery saying she wrote things down so she wouldn't forget. This was a child who held on to things. School wasn't just school to her. It was structure, safety, a place where life made sense. Get your coat, he said. Claire
We have to
blinked.
go.
What?
Get her coat.
We're going to the school, Nathaniel said. An hour later, Nathaniel Carter walked into the front office of Annie's elementary
Hello,
school in
we
a
are here
tailored
to see
coat
the
that probably
administrator.
cost more
I
than
trust
the
the
entire
paperwork
office
is ready.
furniture combined. Claire and Annie walked beside him,
Excuse
both
me.
of them looking
We're
like
here
they
for the
weren't sure
scholarship
they were
interview.
supposed to be there.
I believe
The
Mr.
school
Davis is
secretary
expecting
looked
us.
up. Can I help
Do
you?
you have an appointment with
Yes,
the principal?
Nathaniel said
No,
calmly.
but we were told to come
We're here
directly
about
here
Annie
regarding
Bennett.
the transfer.
We were told there's a problem with her enrollment.
We are here
The
today
secretary
because there
nodded,
seems to be a
already
slight
reaching for a
issue with the
stack of
child's
forms.
enrollment.
Yes,
Oh, I see.
she transferred into the district, but we're currently at capacity.
Okay,
and there are
so for the
procedures
transfer
and
request, you'll
I
need to
understand
complete this entire
procedures,
packet.
Nathaniel said
Please note that
politely.
all
Who
transfers
is the
are strictly
principal?
subject to our
A few
current...
minutes later,
I
they were
understand the
sitting in the
routine,
principal's
thank you,
office.
but
Principal
I need to see
Harris
the
was a
principal
woman in her
immediately.
50s with
Please let
reading
her know I'm
glasses
waiting.
and the expression of someone who had spent her
The
life
policy is
balancing
clear.
budgets that were
We
too
must
small and
prioritize
problems that were
in-district
too
students.
big.
And
I
due to the
understand
current class
situation,
size limitations,
Principal
we
Harris
simply
said,
don't have the
folding
space.
her hands on
The
her
constraints
desk.
we face regarding class
But we
size
have
are
district
institutional,
rules.
dictated by district
Class size
policy and
limits.
resource limitations,
We can't
not
just
a
add
personal
students
decision.
because
the child will
she
not
won't
merely
just
be added somewhere.
Nathaniel said
She will be
calmly.
enrolled.
She'll be enrolled.
This is not a request
Principal
for
Harris
procedure.
looked at him
It is a
carefully.
statement of
And how do you
resolve.
expect me
Given
to
the
do that?
circumstances, how
Nathaniel
exactly
didn't
do
raise
you
his
expect that
voice.
to happen?
He didn't lean forward.
Rest assured, Principal,
He
it
just
will be
spoke in the
managed
same calm
effectively.
tone he used in boardrooms.
As I was saying,
I
the
fund
annual
the Carter
disbursement
Community
for the
Scholarship
scholarship fund is
he
7
said.
figures.
And the technology grant your
The
school
technology
received
grant
last
is
year.
separate.
And the
We
library
should discuss the
renovation
upcoming
scheduled for this
library
summer.
renovation.
Principal Harris blinked once. She had not made the connection until that moment. Nathaniel continued, still calm.
I am not here
still
to break
polite.
rules,
I'm not
but
here
to
to
solve
break
a
rules.
problem.
I'm here to solve
We
a
must
problem.
consider the
Annie
child's
Bennett is a
residency,
resident
strong
of this
attendance.
district now. She is an excellent student. She has perfect attendance records, and she needs stability, not a waiting list. Principal Harris looked at Annie, who was sitting very
There is
still in
one
the chair,
third-grade
her
class that is
backpack on her
technically
lap,
full,
her eyes
but could
wide
fit
but
one more
quiet.
desk.
After
Really?
a long moment, the principal opened Annie's file again.
It
There
looks
is
like
one
everything
class,
is in order.
she said slowly.
You're
Third
officially
grade,
part of the
Mrs.
family.
Alvarez's class. It's technically
Yes, she
full.
confirmed to start on Monday.
We could
Thank
fit
you
one
so
more
much.
desk.
We
Annie
are
looked
so
up so
relieved.
fast it was
Thank
like
you.
someone had turned a light on inside her. Thank you, Claire said quickly, her voice full of relief. Principal Harris nodded. She can start Monday. When they walked out of the school, Annie walked a few steps ahead of them, then suddenly turned around and ran back to Nathaniel and hugged him around the waist without saying anything. He
Thank
froze
you,
for a
mister.
second, surprised,
Of course.
then slowly put his hand on her back.
You did great in
Thank
that.
you, she said into his coat. He swallowed once. You're welcome. That night, after Annie had gone to bed and Claire had finished reviewing staff schedules at the guest house kitchen table, Margaret found Nathaniel standing out on the back lawn
I was
looking
wondering
toward the
about the
cemetery
school.
again. You fixed the school
Are you all
problem,
right?
Margaret said, walking
He
up
was
beside
brilliant,
him.
you know?
Yes,
Hard-working,
he said.
too.
She studied his face.
But he was always
But
just
something
one
else
step
is
away
bothering
from
you.
stability,
Nathaniel
and they never
was
let him
quiet
reach
for
it.
a long moment.
Always
Daniel was
moving,
the smartest
always
guy I knew
almost
who never
secure,
got a
never
real
fully
chance,
safe.
he said finally.
That's what the
He
work was
worked
like back then.
construction, then
It changes
maintenance,
you.
Then warehouse
It wasn't the
jobs.
market. It wasn't bad
Always
luck.
one step
It
away
was a
from
single
being okay.
hospital bill that wiped
And
us
one
out.
hospital bill
Everything
destroyed
we had.
everything he built. Margaret slipped her arm through his. You can't fix
You
everything,
cannot fix
she said gently.
everything.
Nathaniel looked out toward the small gravestone under the tree. No, he said, but I can fix some things. He was quiet
I
for
cannot
another
fix
moment.
everything, but
Then
I
he
can
said something
fix
that
some
would change
things.
more lives than just Claire's and Annie's. I'm starting a foundation.
It's time.
He said. Medical debt
I've made my
relief,
decision.
legal help for workers
We're going
trapped in
inside
those
and we're
agency
telling them
contracts.
everything. I'm creating a
Scholarships for
foundation.
kids like Annie so
It
they
will
don't have to
provide
start
medical
life
debt
already
relief,
behind.
legal help,
Margaret looked at him and
scholarships
smiled
for children
softly.
like Annie.
Daniel would like that. Nathaniel nodded
Daniel
once,
would have liked
still
that.
looking toward the cemetery. Yeah, he said quietly. I think he would. The foundation announcement did not happen with cameras or a press conference. That surprised people later. Men like Nathaniel Carter usually put
The
their
new
names
wing
on
is going to be
buildings,
fantastic
on hospital
visibility for the
wings,
firm.
on scholarship
toast to the
banners.
hospital, then.
They held charity dinners where
We are
everyone
so
wore black
thrilled with the
ties and
turnout
talked
this
about
year.
generosity while drinking expensive wine. Nathaniel did none of that. Instead, he started with paperwork. Quiet meetings.
The liability clause in
lawyers,
Section 4 need
accountants,
clarification.
The budget allocation
long
is
calls with
insufficient
hospital
based on these
administrators and
projections.
legal
We
aid
cannot
offices.
compromise the
He
staffing
spent
levels.
evenings in his study reading reports about medical debt, predatory lending, wage garnishment, and staffing agencies that trapped workers in contracts they didn't fully understand. One night, Margaret walked into his study and found the desk covered in files instead of business reports. You're working harder on this than on your company,
You're working harder on
she
this
said
than your own
gently.
company.
Nathaniel
This
didn't
is
look up
the
from the document he
real
was
business of
reading.
my life now.
This is my company, he said. I just didn't know it yet. Margaret walked over and looked down at the paper. It was a case file about a man who had lost his
Does this
house
happen
after a surgery,
every day?
even though he had insurance,
This
because the
injustice.
out-of-network anesthesiologist billed separately. This happens every day, doesn't it?
People
She
are
asked
not
quietly.
losing because they are
Nathaniel
lazy,
nodded.
but because illness,
Every
death,
day.
and confusing paperwork
People
keep
don't
taking
lose
from them.
because they're lazy. They lose because they get sick, or someone dies, or
What are
they
you gonna
sign
call
one
the new
paper they
effort?
don't understand, and then the system just keeps taking.
We decided on the
Margaret
Claire
was
Neal
quiet for a
Foundation.
moment. What are you going to call it?
It
Nathaniel
felt right.
leaned back in his chair. He hadn't answered that question
I
yet.
think he'd probably just
Finally,
accuse you
he
of
said,
being dramatic
The
right
Bennett
now.
Foundation. Margaret smiled softly. I think Daniel would argue with you about that. Nathaniel almost smiled.
S-A-F-E-T-Y.
Yeah,
Safety.
he would.
That's it.
He'd
Keep
say I
going,
was being
sweetie.
dramatic. But you're going to do it anyway,
Mama,
she said.
are
Yes,
we rich
Nathaniel
now?
replied. Across the property,
honey.
in the guest house, Claire was sitting at the small
We
kitchen
have a
table
house
with Annie
now,
doing homework.
and food.
Annie was working on spelling words,
And you
her
don't
tongue
cry in the
slightly
bathroom
sticking out the
anymore.
corner of her mouth in concentration. B-E-C-A-U-S-E,
They are not rich,
Annie
only
said
safe,
slowly, because
making the word
Claire
feel more
smiled.
valuable than
Good.
money.
Annie looked up. Mom? Yes, baby? Are we
I guess
rich
being
now?
safe is
Claire
good.
blinked, surprised by the question. Why would you ask that? Annie
Never.
shrugged a little.
As we discussed,
we
the
have a
foundation
house
is prepared to cover all expenses,
food.
ensuring her future is
And
secure.
you don't cry in the bathroom
we believe
anymore.
this is the best path
Claire
forward.
felt her throat tighten. She reached across the table and gently pushed Annie's hair back from her face. We're not rich, Claire said softly. We're safe. That's better. Annie thought about that very seriously, then nodded. Safe is good, she said. A few days later,
want you to help run the
Nathaniel
foundation.
invited Claire into the main house
Your
office
lived
again.
experience is
But this
exactly
time
what
Annie
we need
came
for
too
this to
because it was
succeed.
after school, and she sat in the chair
I
by
have
the
to be
window
honest, I don't know
drawing
the
while
first
the
thing about
adults
running a
talked.
foundation.
That
Nathaniel
doesn't
slid a
matter.
folder across the desk
Understanding
toward
why
Claire.
it must exist matters
I want you
far
to
more
read
than
this.
any credential.
Claire opened the
Medical
folder
debt
slowly.
relief program.
Inside were documents,
Legal
plans,
support for exploited
organizational
workers.
charts, and at the top, a page that read, the Bennett Foundation, Medical Debt Relief, and Worker Advocacy Program. Claire looked up confused.
The foundation seems
Why
made
are
for
you
people
showing me
like
this?
them.
Because I want you to help run it, Nathaniel said. She stared at him.
Why did you choose
I don't know
me?
anything about running a foundation.
Because I
You
saw
know
something
exactly
in
why
you
it
that
needs to
reminded me
exist,
of myself.
he said. And that's more important than any degree.
I know what
Claire
it feels
looked back
like to
down at
choose
the
between
papers.
medicine and
Medical
rent,
debt relief.
and to
She
work
read
until your
quietly.
body is
Legal
nearly
support for
breaking.
exploited contract workers.
You made sure your daughter
Housing
ate
assistance
first.
for single-parent families.
That is the mathematics of
Scholarship
survival
fund.
you have
Her
lived
hands
by.
began to shake slightly as she turned the pages.
People who
This
have
is-
never lived this kind
is
of
for
life
people like
should
us,
not be
she
the only
said.
ones making
Nathaniel
decisions
nodded.
about those who
Yes,
have.
it is. Claire looked at him again.
Mommy, why are you
Why me?
crying? Did I do
Nathaniel was
something
quiet
wrong?
for a
No,
moment.
sweetie,
Then he
of
said,
course not.
Because
It's
you know what
okay.
it feels like to choose between medicine and rent. Because you know what it feels like to work
Sometimes when
until you
something
can't
very
stand up
good
straight and still be in
happens,
debt. Because when Annie had
it
food,
still hurts
you
a
made
little.
sure she ate first. People who have never lived like that shouldn't be the only ones making decisions about people who have. Claire didn't realize she was crying until a tear fell onto the paper in front of her. In the corner, Annie looked up from her drawing. Mom, why are you crying? Claire laughed a little through the tears. Because sometimes, when something very good happens, it still hurts a little. Annie seemed to accept that answer and went back to drawing.
I don't
Nathaniel
know
stood
how
and
yet,
walked over
but
to the window,
I promise
looking out
I will
toward
help.
the trees again. I spent half my life building buildings, he said quietly.
That's all right. We will learn together.
Now I think I know what I'm supposed to build next. Claire closed the folder carefully. I'll help,
Look.
she said. I don't know how yet, but I'll help. Nathaniel nodded. We'll learn. Annie walked over and held up her drawing. Look, she said. It was a picture drawn in careful crayons. A small house,
This is
A
the
big
birthday cake.
a tree,
For Papa.
and under the tree,
It's perfect,
3
honey.
stick figures and a smaller one holding a cake.
This tree
That's
belongs
Daddy's
to
tree,
my father.
Annie explained.
And these
that's
figures
us,
are my
and that's you.
family.
She pointed at the
You
tallest
are my
stick
family,
figure.
too.
You're very tall in real life.
He is
but I ran out
very
of paper.
tall in real
Nathaniel
life,
took the
but I
drawing
ran out
carefully
of
like it was
paper.
something extremely valuable. It's perfect, he said, and as he looked at the drawing, Nathaniel Carter realized that for the first time in his life, he was no longer just a man who had built an empire. He was becoming
It
a
is
man who was
perfect.
building something that might actually last. Winter came early that year. By the time December settled over the Carter property, the trees were bare, and the ground in the small cemetery had turned hard with frost. From the windows of the guest house, Annie could see her breath in the mornings when she stepped out onto the porch before school. She liked the cold air. She said it made her feel awake all the way to her bones. Life had found a rhythm now. Claire
No,
ran
those
the
go to the
household with a
service
quiet
entrance around the
efficiency
back.
that
The
impressed
schedule
even the
changed this
vendors who
morning.
had worked with the
Understood.
Carters for years.
We'll move them immediately.
Deliveries arrived on time. Repairs were scheduled before things broke. The kitchen was organized, labeled, and stocked in a way that somehow made the entire house feel calmer.
Here, let me take
The
this
staff
side.
respected her, not because she was strict,
Thank
but
you, ma'am.
because
We
she was
appreciate
fair,
the help.
and because she understood every job in the house well enough to do it herself if she had to. Twice a week, Claire also drove into the city to work with the small legal team Nathaniel had hired for the Bennett Foundation.
The crucial
At
element
first,
here is
she
the
just
establishment
listened in
of the
meetings,
durable power of
learning the
attorney
language
prior to
terms
the
like debt
incapacitation
restructuring,
clause taking effect.
predatory lending, wage theft,
Systemic reforms
contract
must
coercion.
prioritize
But
asset
slowly,
forfeiture
she began to speak
clarification
up,
and qualified
especially when
immunity
the lawyers
revisions to
started
ensure
talking in
Respectfully,
ways that
that
sounded
All
good
right,
on
let's
paper
go through
but
these
didn't match how
applications.
real
We'll
people
prioritize
actually
the
lived.
largest balances
One afternoon,
first and ensure
in a
all the
meeting about
necessary
medical debt
statements are
relief
attached.
applications, a young attorney
Honestly,
said,
if the applicants just
if
submitted the
applicants would
correct
just submit
documents
the
on
correct
time, we wouldn't
documentation
have
on
this
time,
backlog.
most of
It's
these
really quite
cases would be
simple.
easier to process.
The
Claire
doctors
had
did
looked at him
everything they
calmly
could
and
over
said,
those 6
when
months.
my husband was in the hospital,
We were
I
there
was working
every
2
day,
jobs
hoping
and
for a
sleeping
different
4 hours a
outcome.
night. I had collection agencies calling me while I was standing in the pharmacy trying to figure out which medication we could afford that week. So if a form was late, it wasn't
A
because I
late
didn't
form
care
did
about
not mean
paperwork.
she cared less
It was
about
because I was
paperwork.
trying to
It
keep
meant she was
someone
trying to
alive.
keep someone
After that,
alive.
the way the lawyers spoke in meetings changed.
We understand the sensitivity
Nathaniel
of the
watched all of
situation
this
now.
quietly.
Martin has been
He didn't
breaking the
interrupt. He didn't try
We
to
need to
control the
proceed very
foundation the
carefully
way
from
he
here on
controlled his
out.
company. He just made sure it had money, staff, and protection from people who would try to slow it down. One Saturday afternoon, a few weeks before Christmas, Annie knocked on the door of Nathaniel's study holding a small box wrapped in red paper. "You can come in," he said. She walked in carefully and placed the box on his desk. "What's this?" he asked. "It's for you," she said. "For Christmas."
What is this, sweetheart?
"I know it's early,
It's a Christmas
but
gift.
I wanted to give it to
I
you now."
wanted you to have it
Nathaniel
now.
looked at the small, slightly crooked package. "You didn't have to get me anything." "I know," she said, "but I wanted to." He opened the box carefully. Inside was a simple leather keychain, the kind you could have your initials stamped into at a mall kiosk. On it were the letters D, B on one side
keychain
and
is
NC
so
on the
you
other.
will not
Nathaniel stared at
forget
it for a long moment.
again.
"It's so you don't forget again," Annie said quietly. "Now you and Daddy are on
Now
the same
he
keys.
and my father
so wherever
are
you
on
go,
the same
he goes
keys,
too."
so wherever he
Nathaniel
goes,
felt
my
that
father
familiar
goes too.
tightness in his chest again.
I promise
the one
you,
that had been
I will
showing
carry
up
this
more and more
keychain
since
every
the night in
day.
the cemetery. "Thank you,
Thank
Annie,"
you.
he said, his voice lower than usual.
You
"I'm
still
going to
have a
carry
lot
this
of
every
work to
day."
do.
She nodded, satisfied.
Right, I'll throw
Good.
that.
"Because you have a lot of work to do." He almost laughed.
Many people
"I
are
do?"
still hiding
"Yes,"
food.
she said seriously.
They know about hunger and shame.
There are a lot of people
even
who
the
are still
adults.
hiding food. Nathaniel looked at her for a long moment, realizing that she understood more than most adults he knew. A week before Christmas, the foundation approved its first major case, a family whose father had died after a long illness, leaving behind enormous hospital bills that the mother, a hotel
This
housekeeper,
reduction here,
could
combined
never
with the
have
initial
paid.
payment,
The
makes this
foundation
survivable.
negotiated
The
the
amended
debt
clauses
down,
are acceptable.
paid a
The payment
portion,
plan is updated and
and
ready.
set up a payment
Do
plan
they
for the
still
rest
have
that the
to be
woman could
afraid?
actually afford.
No, sweetie.
When Claire told Annie about it
They
that
are
night,
safe
Annie
now.
asked, "So they don't have to be scared anymore?"
The other family
Claire
is not
smiled.
as scared anymore.
Not as scared, no.
This
Annie
is
nodded.
the best kind of rich.
Good. That's the best kind of rich.
Have you ever
On
seen a
Christmas
tree
Eve,
so
the
big,
Carter house was
sweetie?
warmer than it had ever been.
It's
Not warmer
magical.
because of the
Is
fireplaces
Santa
or the
bringing
decorations
presents
or the
tonight?
huge tree in the
Welcome,
main hall.
everyone. Please
But
come in
because
from the
house
cold
was
and find a
full in a way
seat.
it
We
had
are
never
so
been
glad to
before.
have you join us
The
tonight.
staff
Thank
had been
you,
invited
sir.
to a
It
dinner,
looks wonderful.
not as workers
Please,
serving
come
from
and
the
sit
walls,
down.
but as guests sitting
We
at
are
the
so
table.
glad you're
Some
here
of them
with
were
us
nervous
tonight.
at first, unsure where to sit, unsure what the rules were when the rules suddenly changed.
Tonight, nobody
Nathaniel
works and
solved
everybody
that
eats.
by pulling out a chair and saying, "Tonight, nobody works. Tonight, everybody eats." Annie sat between Claire and Margaret, her feet not quite touching the floor, looking around the table like she was trying to memorize the entire moment so she could keep it forever.
This feels like the birthday
Halfway through dinner, Annie
but
leaned toward Nathaniel
bigger.
and whispered, "This is like the birthday dinner,
Can we go
but bigger."
outside now?
He
Yes,
nodded.
sweetie.
Yeah,
It's time.
it is. After dinner, Annie asked if they could go outside for a minute. Nathaniel knew where she wanted to go before she even said it. So the four of them, Nathaniel, Margaret, Claire, and Annie, walked out through the cold night toward the cemetery, carrying a small lantern and a slice of Christmas pie on a plate. They stood in front of Daniel's grave, the ground hard with
Merry
winter, the air quiet
Christmas.
and sharp. "Merry Christmas, Daddy," Annie said softly, setting the pie down on the stone. "We're okay now.
It's okay now, Daddy.
You don't have to worry anymore."
We're gonna be
Nathaniel
fine,
stood
so
there
you
with
don't
his
have
hands
to
in his
worry
coat pockets,
anymore.
looking at his old friend's name.
I am still working on it.
he said quietly. But
But
they're not alone anymore.
They are not
I
alone
promise."
anymore.
The wind moved through the trees above them, and for a moment, standing there in the cold with the people who now felt like family, Nathaniel Carter understood something that had taken him 40 years to learn. Success was not the buildings with his name on them. It was the people who no longer had to be invisible because he had finally decided
Real
to see
success
them.
is
The snow came in the night, quiet and steady, covering the Carter property in a clean white blanket that made everything look softer than it really was. By morning, the trees, the rooftops, and even the small cemetery under the oak tree were covered in white. From the kitchen window of the guest house, Annie stood on a
It
chair and
looks
looked out at
like
the snow
someone
like it was the
erased
first
the
time she had ever
ground.
seen the world start
It's
over.
all snow.
"Mom," she called. "It looks like someone erased the ground." Claire walked in, drying her hands on a towel, and smiled when she saw Annie's face pressed close to the cold glass. "That's what
Oh.
snow does," she said. "It
Snow
makes everything
makes
quiet
everything
for a
quiet
little while."
for a little
Annie
while.
turned around. "Can we go see Daddy before school?"
Can we visit
So
my
he can see
father
the snow
before
too?
school so he
Claire
can
hesitated.
see the snow too?
"We have time for a few
Okay,
minutes."
we have a few
They
minutes.
put on their coats and walked carefully through the snow, their footprints the first ones across the white lawn. Annie carried a small thermos in both hands. "What's in the thermos?" Claire asked. "Hot chocolate."
What is
Annie
inside
said,
the thermos?
"So he doesn't get
It
cold."
is hot
When they
chocolate,
reached
so
the
my
cemetery,
father does
Annie
not get
brushed the
cold.
snow off the top of the gravestone with her mitten and set the small thermos cap down carefully like a cup. "Good morning, Daddy," she said. "It snowed. We live in the little house now, remember?
Hello,
The
Father.
one I told you about.
It
Mom has a
snowed
job
last
where she doesn't
night.
come home
It's
tired and
very
sad
beautiful,
anymore. And
just
Nate is
for
building
you.
the thing we talked about, the
We
helping
live
thing."
in the little
Claire
house
stood a few
now,
steps back,
the one I
watching her
told you
daughter talk
about.
to the stone like it was the
Mama
most
and
natural
me.
thing in the world. Back at the main house,
My mother has a
Nathaniel
job
was
where she
already
does
in his
not come
office when
home
Laura
tired
walked in
and
holding
sad
a folder.
anymore.
"These
And
are
a
the
tall
end-of-year
man is
reports
building
for
the
the
helping
foundation,"
thing we talked about.
she said,
The
setting them on
year-end
his
foundation
desk.
reports you
"You
requested,
should look at the
sir.
last page."
Thank you. Update the
Nathaniel
projections
opened
for
the
the board
folder and
meeting
flipped
next
to
week.
the back. There were numbers there, but not the kind he had spent his
Please
life
look at the
chasing.
last page first. It
Families
details
assisted,
the unexpected
40,
expenditures.
This
7,
requires our
medical
immediate
debts
attention.
reduced or paid.
Thank you, Sarah.
$2.3 million. Workers released from predatory contracts. 19. Scholarships funded. 12 children. Nathaniel stared at the numbers for a long time. Laura spoke gently.
All of this happened in
"That's in less than a year." Nathaniel nodded
is
slowly.
only a start.
"It's a start."
Most
Laura
people with this
hesitated,
level
then
of wealth
said,
usually prefer
"You know,
donations attached
most
to
people
their
with your
own
kind of
names
money
on
donate to
buildings,
things with their
museums,
names on
or
them.
stadiums.
Buildings, museums,
I do not
stadiums."
need my name on a
Nathaniel
building.
closed the folder. "I don't need my name on a building.
I need
he
another
said.
man's name on a future.
I need Daniel's name on a future." That afternoon, Annie came into the office again after school, still wearing her backpack. "Nate, can I ask you something?" she said.
Are
Of
you
course,
still a
he
very
replied.
busy man?
She climbed into the chair across from his desk. Are you still a very busy man?
Are you?
He smiled a
Are
little.
you still
Yes,
a very
I am.
busy man?
She nodded seriously. Okay.
Busy
I just
people
wanted to make
forget
sure.
to come back.
Why? Because
You
busy
must be a
people forget
different
to come
kind
back,
of busy
she
now
said.
because you did
But
come
you
back.
came back. So I think maybe you're a different kind of busy now. Nathaniel leaned back in his chair, looking at her, realizing that once again, this small girl had found a sentence that explained his entire life better than any business book ever had. Yeah, he said quietly. I think I am. That evening, just before sunset, Nathaniel walked alone out to the cemetery. The snow crunched under his shoes, and his breath hung in the cold air as he stopped in front of Daniel's grave. For a long time, he didn't say anything. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out his keys. The leather keychain Annie had given him swung slightly in the cold wind, DB on one side, NC on the other. I carry you with me now, he said quietly. Should have done that a long time ago. He looked out across the property, the big house, the guest house with smoke coming
She
from
thought
the
I was the
chimney,
one helping
the long
you,
driveway,
but the truth is,
the trees,
you were the
fading
one
light.
who saved
Your
me.
kid is something else, he said. She thinks I'm the one helping them. But the truth is, they're the ones who saved me. The sky was turning orange behind the trees now, the light falling across
After
the
30
snow
years
and
of
the stone
building
and
an
the long
empire,
stretch of land Nathaniel
all he
Carter
truly
had once
needed to
thought was the
build
proof of his
was
success.
a longer table.
I spent 30 years building an empire, he said quietly. Turns out, all I really needed to build was a longer table. He stood there until the cold started to bite through his coat, then nodded once toward the gravestone like he was finishing a conversation between old friends. When he walked back toward the houses, he could see light in the windows of both homes. In the big house, Margaret was setting the table. In the guest house, Claire was helping Annie with homework. The two of them
Okay,
sitting
so if we
close
add
together
3
under a
more, what does
warm
that
lamp.
make?
Nathaniel stopped for a moment between the two houses,
That's right,
looking
honey.
at both
Good
lights
job.
glowing in the early winter night. For the first time in his life, he understood something simple and permanent. Power was not in making people fear you. Power was in making sure the people under your roof never had to be afraid again. And as he walked toward the lights, toward the people waiting inside, Nathaniel Carter was no longer just a rich man, or a busy man, or even an important man. He was something he had never planned to become, and yet somehow had needed
Real
to become
power
all along.
means making sure
He
the
was a
people
man who
under
would
his
finally
roof
come back.
never
This
have to be
story
afraid
reminds
again.
us that real power is not measured by money, status, or how many people work for you, but by how many people you choose to protect when they cannot protect themselves. Sometimes, the people who
There he
change our
is.
lives are not powerful,
Come on in,
important,
it's freezing
or
out
rich.
there.
They are small, quiet, and easy to overlook.
The man
Annie did
continues
not change
forward as the
Nathaniel's
narration's
life with
idea
money or
expands,
influence,
showing
but
that he
with
is
love,
no longer only a
loyalty,
busy
and
man
a heart
or
that
even an
refused to forget
important
her
man.
father. The story teaches us that kindness is never a small thing. A meal, a job, a safe home, a chance to go to school. These simple things can change a person's entire life. In the end, success is not about building a bigger house. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.